Whitewashing on Fox Sports Net is brought to you by your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers.
Last night it was Vintage Medics north of the border as Greg kept Montreal in check with his arm and his bat. Sammy also pitched in, helping the Cubs take over sole possession of the wild card lead. Tonight, it's Pryor's turn to expose the opposition. Game 2 between the Cubs and Expos right now on Fox Sports Net.
It's time for Cubs baseball. Game 2 of a 3-game series between the wild card hopeful Cubs and the Montreal Expos. The Cubs won a big one last night, 5-2 the final score. They try to win their second straight tonight here in Montreal on Fox Sports Net Chicago. Hi again, friends. 2 harmless little fuzzballs. Steve Stone and Chip Caray from the ballpark, where everybody very happy for the Cubs last night. Greg Maddux threw well, the Cubs hit well, and all's well that ends well. The Cubs a half game up in the wild card by virtue of a 5-2 win.
I think the Cubs unhappy that August is coming to a close because it's been in the month of August where the offense has come to life. In fact, you take a look at those numbers. Look at the batting average, the runs per game, the home runs per game, and the stolen bases just in the month of August. You factor in that, unfortunately, the ERA is also up. That means it's hot in August. That hasn't changed for, I don't know, 1,000 years or so. So the Cubs playing great baseball. They'll move to September, but for the moment, they've got the wild card lead.
So the Cubs with some bullpen issues to sort out tonight and down the stretch. They send Mark Pryor to the mound. Can Mark Pryor pitch 6 or 7 against a very injury-depleted Montreal club tonight?
I think he should be able to because this ball club has had its problems. And Mark Pryor last time out with the wind blowing out at Wrigley Field, although he struggled, he limited that very potent lineup to just 2 runs. We saw how potent they were in the last 3 games of the series. So Mark Pryor had a pretty good game. Look for more of the same tonight. He has to harness his control, and he's got to do it against Livan Hernandez, who can hit and throw as well as anybody on this Expo team. Livan's a dandy, a great athlete, maybe a Gold Glove winner on the mound defensively. This is a depleted team. He's a pretty good pitcher.
Jim Hendry, the Cub general manager, made a couple of minor trades today. The Cubs have acquired Mike DeFelice. They've added Ben Grieve, a left-handed hitting outfielder from the Milwaukee Brewers. Both players acquired for players yet to be named. They will probably join the club tomorrow, September 1st, and would be eligible, one would presume, for the postseason run for the Cubs. It's Game 2 from Montreal. Glad you're with us tonight. Coming up, it's the Cubs and the Expos from Olympic Stadium in Montreal.
Sportsnet's coverage of Chicago Cubs baseball is brought to you in part by your local area Lexus dealer, who invite you to test drive a Lexus today. Geico Direct, a 15-minute phone call could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Comcast, proud to be Chicagoland's cable company. Mike's Hard Lemonade, hardly the usual, make it a Mike's. Chevy, see your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealer today for your chance to win a Chevy Equinox in the Summer of Baseball promotion. Walgreens, the pharmacy of the Chicago Cubs. Aflac, ask about it at work. Toyota, get the feeling. And by Southwest Airlines, over 2,800 nonstop daily flights to 60 destinations all across the country.
It's Toyota time, the nationwide clearance event, the year's biggest event. You've got to act now. Hurry and get the most fuel-efficient SUVs in their class, like Highlander. Now with 0% financing for 36 months or $750 customer cash. Or go for the sporty RAV4, also with 0% financing for 36 months. Toyota time. Selection, value, clearance, now.
John and Tom are regular guys. They do the usual things, the usual way, at the usual places. One day, John was down at the credit union when he decided to go unusual. Tom also did something he'd never done before.
The usual? No, I'll have one of those.
Good on you, Tom. Don't make it the usual. Make it Mike's Hard Cranberry Lemonade. Hardly the usual.
Hey, what is it?
I realize I love you, but as long as you're with Jessica, there can never be anything between us.
Cassie, there's no need to cry. Besides, I've got really great news.
You're leaving Jessica?
No. I just saved a load of money on my car insurance by switching to Geico. I saved. I thought that meant something to you.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
The last of the 04s are here. It's Chevy's model year-end event. Stop into your Chevy dealer and get $3,500 cash back on a 2004 Chevy Impala, Monte Carlo, or select Cavalier models. And see your dealer for available GMAC down payment assistance. See your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers.
We're back in Montreal for Game 2 of this three-game series between the Cubs and the Expos. The Cubs enter play tonight, 1/2 game in front of San Diego in the National League's wild card race. Dusty Baker, fresh off his 1,000th career win as a Major League manager, joining Art Howe and a host of others. Among active managers in that regard, Tony La Russa, Bobby Cox, Joe Torre, and Lou Piniella, also active at over 1,000 wins, and he'd love to get 1,001 tonight with this Cubs starting lineup, which features Corey Patterson leading off in center field, Derek Lee at first base. A lot of fans have made the trip up from Boston to see Nomar Garciaparra once again tonight. Moises Alou, a former Expo, is in left. Sammy Sosa's bat very quietly starting to roast again. Aramis Ramirez in at third base. Todd Walker gets the start at second tonight. Former Expo Michael Barrett hits 8th, and Mark Pryor will pitch and hit 9th.
There's a look at Livan Hernandez, and he's on for his 29th start of the year. He's completed 7 games. Year after year, he's among the league leaders in that department. Now, don't be fooled by that 9-12 record. His ERA is in the high 3s, but this is a pretty good pitcher. He can't blow you away any longer, but he's a great hitter. He will throw all 4 pitches. He will throw a lot of slow stuff, so you have to wait back and try to hit him off the back foot. If you get out in front of anything, you're going to do a lot of grounding out.
Corey was 0 for 5 in the series opener last night, and Alfonso Marquez, our home plate umpire, calls that a fastball right down the middle for strike 1 here in the first inning. Patterson, 19 home runs. He's knocked in 60 this year. And Hernandez quickly ahead of him at 0-2.
Last year, the Expos a better team, largely because they were healthy and hadn't traded away their whole team to this point. He was 15-10 with 8 complete games and 33 starts. And you know about Livan's brother, El Duque, Orlando Hernandez. They both came from Cuba. They both have turned into quality major league pitchers.
1-2 count. Missed at the belt inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
We saw Brian Schneider throw the ball last night, and if Livan gives him any shot, he's going to gun you down. He is a great throwing catcher with a quick release.
The 2-2. And a slow breaking ball takes care of Corey Patterson. 1 up, 1 down.
Let's take a look at the Corona defense, then how they'll line up. Behind Hernandez, it's Sledge, Chavez, and Rivera left to right with Bautista. You might remember their shortstop, Alex Gonzalez, is Torres and Wilkerson in the infield. We talked about Schneider behind the plate. And Livan on the hill. There's the Hall of Famer Frank Robinson. He was a good one.
It's also Frank Robinson's birthday today as Derek Lee pops the first pitch up into shallow right. Rivera's there. And quickly, 2 men out. So happy birthday, Frank Robinson, 69 years young today.
He's done a nice job under very trying times here in Montreal. Coaching staff has put up with a whole lot. It's been very difficult for this team, as you would expect with the road schedule that they have, including Puerto Rico 22 times a year. Jerry Morales, a former Cub, is first base coach, and of course Tom McCraw, longtime hitting coach.
Nomar pops the first pitch he sees into shallow right field. Again, Rivera galloping over near the pen, and Livan Hernandez an easy time of it here in the top of the first.
It's corn that's been pulverized and pressed into flakes. I call them corn flakes. Really quite delicious.
You never know when a
golden opportunity will come your way, like the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event. Get your favorite Lexus vehicle at an incredible price.
Next, they'll be bottling water.
See your Chicago area Lexus dealer.
Okay, here are the facts. You're looking at Mr. Opportunity. I'm looking at a beautiful Civic. And lucky break for you, Honda is having a clearance. Now listen, there's a chance for big savings here, people. So say it with me. Right place, right time, right now. The 2004 Honda clearance. Hey, you wait. You're going to be late. Now you can lease a new Civic Value Package for $159 a month for 36 months at where? Your Honda dealer. Good. I'm Mr. Opportunity, and I am still knocking.
Safe, professional, affordable. Future Vision Laser Center is proud to announce our See for Free LASIK program. Call 1-888-633-6333 right now to find out how you can see for free. Call 1-888-633-6333 for Future Vision Laser Center, Chicago's LASIK leader. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Call 1-888-633-6333 now. Future Vision Laser Center. Safe, professional, affordable.
With Max Kellerman, weeknights on FSN.
Cubs 3 up, 3 down to the top of the first. Mark Pryor to the mound, and here's how Montreal lines up for Game 2. They're happy to have Brad Wilkerson back in the lineup. He's had 25 home runs for this club this year. He was hit on the knee a couple of games ago, but is good to go tonight. Endy Chavez in center. Tony Batista with 23 home runs at third base. Termel Sledge in left. Rivera in right. Alex Gonzalez the shortstop with Schneider. Macier Torres at second base this evening, and of course Livan Hernandez, a very good hitter, bats ninth.
Mark Pryor on the hill, and he'll go after his 16th start, his 5th win. His ERA a whole lot higher than he would like. He's just rounding into shape, and the Cubs know that if they are indeed going to complete that run to the playoffs, Mark Pryor has to be one of the vital cogs.
Brad Wilkerson with 25 home runs shoots that to deep center field. Patterson going back, still going back, and it's gone. Wilkerson with his 26th home run. Welcome back to the lineup, and Montreal leads by a run.
One of the reasons why I made him my Lexus key was that along with Tony Batista, Wilkerson gives you an explosive bat. I'm kind of surprised he's leading off because he's a guy, as we can see, that put a charge into it. He hit it 415 feet to straightaway center field. That's number 26. RBI number 55. His on-base percentage over 380, but he's got tremendous power.
So that'll bring up Endy Chavez, and Mark Pryor allows his 12th home run in 76 innings this year. Chavez 2 for 8 against Mark in his career. Hits that right back up the middle. 2 hitters up, 2 bullets hit. And here's Batista, as Steve mentioned, a veteran hitter now with 23 home runs and 84 runs batted in.
Jose Vidro is lost for the season. That's a big bat out of the lineup, but he was the only guy on this team that had grounded into more double plays than Tony Batista. He's grounded into 11 of them. He, however, is the second best power hitter on this team. Normally a dead pull hitter who has a most unusual stance, almost facing the pitcher directly with his front foot out of the batter's box just about.
And Mark paints the inside corner, a called strike.
You get a ground ball, and this artificial surface, by the way, might be the slowest ever invented. And so it gives fielders a little more range than they normally have on an artificial surface.
Yeah, it's called field turf, and what's so unique about it, rather than it being a totally smooth carpet, they're actually individual pieces of the artificial grass, and underneath the grass is a rubberized pellet type product made up of old ground up athletic shoes. So it's much more easy for the players to play on this type of artificial surface. But because there's so much surface area, the ball is slowed down noticeably by it.
You can see the actual blades of what is the artificial surface, and what you're going to see on this artificial surface is Endy Chavez run. He's stolen 22.
And 8 of his last 9. He's going. Good jump. And the pitch fouled away by Batista. Break for the Cubs. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Picked a good pitch to run because it was a breaking ball. And Endy gets a very good jump. Michael Barrett wouldn't have gotten him, but he didn't have to worry about it because the ball is fouled off.
Boy, Chavez, a very youthful looking young man. In large part because he's young. But he looks like he's 15 years old out there. As Batista down swinging, 1 away here in the first.
This is a guy last night in Turmel's Sledge that just hit everything in sight. And he was the one guy, ironically, that Greg Maddux was kind of worried about because he had never seen him. He didn't know where the soft spots were. He got a single and a double against Maddux before he finally induced him to fly out to end the 6th inning, later hitting a 2-run homer. But Greg Maddux equal to the task as he won his 13th. This young man can swing the bat.
10 home runs, 38 driven in for Turmel's Sledge.
What we saw last night is he can turn on the ball, and there is a big gap on the right side. You don't see many 1-0 pitch outs. Good time to run.
Not going. And way upstairs. Sledge hit his home run here last night right over the Jackie Robinson retired number in right. And the ball sailed into the vomitory out there in straightaway right field.
Into the what?
The vomitory. It's the exit.
Oh.
Not,
all right. Well, I had no idea.
Not vomitorium.
Oh, okay.
That's right through there. 2 balls and a strike.
So that's the exit.
Yes.
Okay.
You obviously didn't take Latin in high school, did you?
I was lucky to take English.
Well, we know that. 2-1 is the count. 1-0 Montreal the lead.
Well, here's a 2-1 count, which is probably the universal count to run. And Chavez, 22 out of 27 in stolen bases. He is essentially the running game.
There he goes. Swing and a miss. The Barrett throw right on the money and ball dropped. And they had Chavez dead to rights.
If Garciaparra holds on, then Endy's out. But he's in at second. And he gets a stolen base. Great throw by Michael Barrett. It's right there. And Nomar just flat out drops it.
But it's ruled a stolen base. And a hit could score. Endy Chavez here. 2 balls, 2 strikes. They're going inside. Let's see if Mark can get it there. Out of play foul. This Expo team pretty dangerous here at home. This is a club that's 21 games under 500, but they're only 4 under here at home.
We're also facing their best. Livan has finished 7 of his 28 starts. The Expos as a team have only finished 8 games. By contrast, the Cubs, good pitching team, have only finished 3 games.
The 2-2. Ooh, called third. Pryor gets it there and strikes out his 2nd consecutive man. That'll bring up Rivera.
It's a breaking ball. It freezes Sledge, and he goes down on strike. I would be careful with Rivera. Right now, he's a little more dangerous than Alex Gonzalez. You do have first base open. The reason I say that is Alex, we know, had a broken bone in his hand, and he got hit now 5 days ago and is just coming back. So be careful with this guy.
He does. That ball sweeps outside. 1 ball, no strikes. Rivera last night reminded a lot of people around these parts of Vladimir Guerrero with a throw he made that ended up sailing into the Cub dugout.
That cost him a run. It cost him an error. And Greg Maddux didn't need too much help last night.
He had a terrific night. And Mark misses away again. 2 balls, no strikes.
Juan Rivera has some pretty good power. Defensively, they think his arm ranks with anybody in baseball. We know he can throw it a long way. It's yet to be seen if he can throw it accurately.
Out of play, 2 balls and a strike. We saw a couple of crazy plays last night. How about Paul Bacco being hit in the back with a batted ball while he was standing atop the third base bag?
I certainly haven't seen that in many a year, but James Hoy said that he was on the bag when it hit him. That was the key to the play. Cubs got some decent calls last night.
Including the play at the plate where clearly Rivera was in safely.
And Paul Bacco had a great night. Now watch. Standing on the bag, and as you can see, James Hoy said it was fair. It was indeed. Cubs get a run. Mannix gets a run batted in.
And they do indeed pitch around Rivera and take their chances with Alex Gonzalez. You figure Mark would have a pretty good idea of what Alex likes and doesn't like. They were teammates most of this season, and Alex hasn't played since last Thursday. He was hit on the wrist with a pitched ball.
I do know one thing. He can hit a fastball middle in, especially down, and he can hit it a long way. The Cubs saw that. What he doesn't hit very well is everybody's weakness. Good breaking balls away.
In 22 games for the Expos, Alex with 4 home runs and 12 driven in and a .273 average. And that one again off the plate. For a ball, 1 count to Alex Gonzalez, who wants to be remembered. All his friends and fans back in Chicago.
He's a real good guy, and Tom McCraw, the hitting coach, said he's been a pleasure to have here. They'll like him a lot more if he does things like this. Hanging breaking ball. You remember that he was called Mr. Walk-Off as a Cub. He obviously has no problem with hanging breaking balls. And the Cubs go wild. They did that a few times with Alex. Mark has missed with the first 2 breaking balls, putting him in a 2-0 hole. And Alex, like every home run hitter, is looking for the ball middle in. He doesn't care if it's a breaking ball or a fastball. He would hope that Pryor would keep it away.
Two balls, no strikes. Line drive right field. That's trouble in the corner. Here comes Chavez around third to score. Rivera's going to get the green light. He's going to come around. Alex Gonzalez doubles home 2 with 2 out. And Montreal leads 3-0.
That officially falls into biting the hand that once fed him. And that'll bring Larry Rothschild out from the dugout to talk with Pryor. RBIs 21 and 22 for Alex. He got a fastball out over the plate. You see where Barrett wants it, and you see where Pryor threw it. It was right down the middle, and Alex inside outed it to right field. 2-0, good fastball hitters, and Alex is just looking fastball. If he gets it in a good spot, he hits it hard. Cubs trail by 3. A dangerous situation for Livan Hernandez because his ERA is at 3.79. He doesn't give up all that many of them.
Cubs pitchers have been digging themselves early holes in the last week. They're down 3 here in the first, and Schneider indeed stands in. 12 homers, 40 knocked in. He's hit safely in 11 of his last 12, and Mark moves his feet for ball 1.
Schneider's one of the left-handed power hitters on this team. 12 doesn't sound like much. This isn't an easy park to hit a home run.
Line drive right field. That's going to score a run. Pryor's getting hammered here. 4th hit of the inning. It's 4-0. Ball gets away, but
going to be an error on Sammy.
He just dropped it, and now Schneider into third base.
Double E9. It is a run batted in. It's run batted in number 41. And there's another fastball, and it's another one down the middle. Mark Pryor does not have his location, and this very spunky Expo team is making him pay the price. Sammy gets it, bobbles it, and then just plain drops it. One of the things to think about this inning is if Nomar holds onto that ball, it's inning over. Now, normally you'd say in this situation, well, you pitch around the 8th hitter to get to the pitcher.
Not in this case.
No, Livan is a better hitter at this point of his career than is Torres.
4-0 Montreal in the first inning. And that's high and tight as we welcome our affiliate Intercounty Cable and their viewers in Brooklyn, Iowa to Game 2 at Olympic Stadium.
This young man's 19 years old and has a chance to be a pretty good player for a long time.
His brother Cesar is tourist, starring for the Los Angeles Dodgers.
And if you can go by genes, Cesar has got to be a better hitter each and every year. And this year his batting average is close to 300.
And that's the debate in Montreal. Which of the Asturises catches the baseball better?
Well,
that's quite a compliment.
It was a different organization then, but this was the organization that had Vladimir Guerrero fall into their laps after the Dodgers signed Wilton and let Vladimir come here to the Expos. So you makes your decision, you takes your chances, and in that case, worked out real well for the Expos. Vladimir became quite a player, and Mark Pryor throwing a lot of pitches in the first inning. This has been one of the problems this year, is he just doesn't hit his spots. And right now the Expos are making him pay the price as Todd Wellmeyer starts to get loose. Livan Hernandez, folks, can really swing the bat.
254 is his average, and Mark slings that outside. Ball 1, your count. That is not an encouraging sign with Wellmeyer up this early. Pryor's had to leave a couple of starts early for the Cubs this season. Tapper fouled at the plate. Pryor worked an inning and 2/3 July 15th against Milwaukee. He worked 3 innings against San Diego August 10th. He worked 3 2/3 innings against the Cardinals in his second start of the season. Here he's fighting to get out of the first, down just 4 with runners first and third and 2 down.
One thing to bear in mind, if you're looking at some of the teams that the opponents are playing of consequence, the Giants have a homestand where they'll see the Rockies and the Diamondbacks. Not exactly the 27 Yankees for either of them.
Bounced. Pryor in self-defense knocks it down, throws a lollipop to first in time, and that'll retire Livan Hernandez. But Montreal bats around in the first. They score 4 times on 4 hits. 4-0 after 1.
Focus and Adele, a Focus and Adele. Get the car and you'll go far with a Focus and Adele. The Dell PC is free. The Dell PC is free. The printer's fat. The monitor's flat. The Dell PC is free.
Get into any 2005 Ford Focus with 0% financing or $2,000 cash back, and get a Dell computer with a flat panel monitor and printer, all free.
A Focus and Adele.
Comcast is working hard, so you won't miss a moment. We're working hard to bring you crystal clear pictures with digital cable. We're working hard to bring you high-speed cable internet. And at Comcast, our promise is to continue bringing new technologies home to you first, to keep you in touch, informed, and in sync, with everything you need to stay connected, now and in the future. All from one single source, Comcast.
Cubs fans, come early and save big with the Cubs Early Bird Discount. During the first hour, the gates are open. Enjoy 25% off all food and non-alcoholic beverages. For hot dogs, pizza, Pepsi, and more, catch the Cubs Early Bird Discount.
Cubs baseball is brought to you in part by Midas. For mechanics known for their work and their word, trust the Midas touch. Corona Extra, miles away from the ordinary. And by Ford. Visit your local Ford store.
Our Geico moment Again, Dusty Baker, 1,000 managerial wins last evening, and indeed that is a very special honor. First one came against the Cardinals, and Cub fans are hoping there will be many more victories for that man in a Cub uniform against that team from St. Louis. One inning in the books. Moises Alou, a former Expo, goes to work against Livan Hernandez, who's been given a 4-0 lead. That got a piece of Schneider behind the plate. Strike one to Moises Alou.
And Moises has had very good luck against Livan Hernandez. In fact, better luck than he's had on the road this year, where he's hitting just .248. But against Livan, he's always swung the bat well, so you would think it'd be a good night for him.
8 for 25 with a home run.
Hitting .320 against a pretty tough right-hander.
That's off the plate to even up the count. Keep an eye on the rest of the scores tonight. San Diego is in St. Louis. Houston's in Cincinnati. And Colorado visits the San Francisco Giants later on tonight. Oh, look at that ball. That's a backbreaker. Good pitch. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, Livan throws from 3 or 4 different angles, and he gets most everything over the plate. It's a diet from him of slow, slower, and slowest. However, you can't really disregard his fastball because it's not great, but it's good enough.
Fly ball flare into right field. Rivera comes on. Did he trap it?
Yes.
Alou, big turnaround first. Rivera's got a great arm. Alou fortunate not to get picked off as Rivera thought about throwing behind him. There's the first Cub hit, bringing up Sammy Sosa.
Sinking line drive to right field as Hernandez tries to sneak a fastball by him. That doesn't happen very much, and as you can see, he does indeed trap it. I don't think the Cubs want to get too adventuresome against Rivera on the base pads. He does have a real good arm despite it not being accurate last evening.
2 for 4 was Sammy last night. He drove in a couple of runs. He too another Cub that loves seeing Livan Hernandez. 16 hits and 46 at bats, including 6 home runs.
Well, Sammy's had a great run at it, far and away dwarfing anybody's home run total against Livan. And he knows that Livan doesn't throw a fastball hard enough to jam him inside too often. But if Sammy does try to roll over those breaking balls away, Moises is going to have to break up 2 at second base. Only Jose Lima and Kurt Schilling have yielded more home runs.
And that's what, if they make the playoffs and have a good run, might have a chance for Sammy to face both of those guys. Lima for the Dodgers, Schilling going tonight for the Red Sox as they open up a series with Anaheim.
I like Jose Lima in a short series. I would be very surprised if he started one of those games.
2 balls and a strike. Popped up right side. Long run is Turris. Longer run Rivera. It's going to be his Turris. Look at the ground he was able to cover. Good play in fair ground.
Well, remember, he's a shortstop by trade, and he has good speed. He's playing second tonight. But they think in the not too distant future this is their everyday shortstop. He called for it. You can see him yelling, "I've got it." He wants to make sure that Rivera stays away, and he's able to make the play. And here's a guy that the Cubs did miss in their starting lineup. When Ramirez is not in the starting lineup, the Cubs are 7-9.
He's in there tonight. Let's see if he can cut the lead in half with one mighty cut here.
Ramirez 6 for 12 last time against Hernandez. He's hitting .295 on the road. Walker's hitting .325 on the road.
1 ball, 1 strike. A floater. Boy, he can change speeds with that breaking ball as well as anybody in Major League Baseball.
Well, the real key for an off-speed pitch like that is to make sure that your arm speed stays the same. So you bring the ball back in your hand. It's called choking the curveball. And the arm comes through just as fast as it does on your normal curveball, except the ball doesn't get there. That was one of the mainstays for me, because when you don't throw real hard, you have to throw 2 or 3 different speeds of curveball, and you do it by keeping the same arm velocity. You just change the positioning in your hand. The farther back in your hand you have the baseball, the slower the curveball is.
2 balls, 2 strikes with 1 out. And out of play. Does the same principle apply? Fastball, changeup for a pitcher?
A changeup is back in your hand. In fact, the 3-finger change, the circle change that you hear so much about, is thrown almost with your palm in the back of your hand. The further out on your fingers the ball is, the harder the fastball.
So Hernandez changing speeds awfully well early in tonight's game. And Ramos has to protect with a 2-2 count. Lewis short lead at first. And he runs the count full.
Well, another factor here, remember that Ramirez is not going to be running 100% with that groin problem. So Moises, to keep the inning alive on a ground ball, has got to break up 2 at second. Asturias has a shortstop's arm at second. That's an advantage.
Close play at first.
You forgot to mention that Hernandez has a great move. He's got very quick feet. Don't let his size deceive you. Yes, he wears a baggy uniform. However, this is one of the truly great athletes in this league.
Payoff pitch, runner goes. Breaking ball hammered foul past third. Fine job by the ball boy down there to keep it in front.
Pretty impressive for Livan Hernandez. He takes the baseball, he goes to the mound, he eats up innings.
He's already over 200 of them this season with a month to play after tonight. Again the 3-2, and the runner goes, and it's shot to right field. Mo doesn't pick up the baseball, and there is going to be
piece of base
a double play. Cubs base running continues to be problematic here in Montreal. A line drive to right. Alou doubled off first, and it's 4-0 Expos in the middle of the second.
If a homemade dune buggy can have an off-road suspension, if a solar car can use lightweight materials to increase fuel efficiency, if a vehicle this small can have incredible power, then why can't your truck? At GMC, our engineers don't just ask questions, they have answers. Introducing the mid-sized GMC Canyon. Professional-grade engineering. It's not more than you need, just more than you're used to.
What makes someone crave a Wendy's bacon mushroom melt? Is it the quarter pound of beef that's served fresh and hot from the grill? Is it the warm cheddar sauce so loaded with succulent mushrooms that your mouth waters? Or is it how it's combined with strips of hickory smoked bacon that makes it irresistible? Well, as long as it's back, who cares? Get a bacon mushroom melt made just for you today, only at Wendy's. It's better here. And our pickup window's open till 1 a.m. or later.
Release molecules delivers non-stop protection throughout the life of your oil. Not just oil, Pennzoil.
One thing can generate excitement like a Volvo.
Hi, I'm Jeffrey Orloff. We're from Howard Orloff Volvo. We want to wish the Cubs all the best in their race to the playoffs.
Cubs baseball on FSN Chicago is brought to you by Howard Orloff Volvo, 1924 North Paulina in Chicago.
Brad Wilkerson leads off the second inning. He homered over the center field fence his first time up. And Mark Pryor evens the count at a ball and a strike. This young man can hit. Fly ball right right center field. That should be caught. And it is by Corey Patterson. Here's how the top of the second ended. A base running mistake by Moises Alou.
Well, Moises is running, and the first thing you want to do is pick up the baseball, and Moises does. He sees it, and then for some reason he believes that Rivera is not going to catch it. Well, he's wrong. And then he goes and he's looking at Wendell Kim, and he says, did he catch it? Yeah, he did, Moises.
That'll bring up Chavez, who singled, stole a base after Nomar dropped the ball at the second base bag. Turned out to be a big play. If they'd gotten Chavez, Pryor struck out Batista and Sledge consecutively, and the first inning might have ended with the Cubs down just a run. Obviously, that didn't happen. And after a walk, back-to-back doubles, the Expos plated their second, third, and fourth runs of tonight's game. Slashed out of play by Chavez. 2 balls and a strike.
Well, they would love eventually Andy Chavez to be a leadoff hitter for them because he's a base stealer. But he really doesn't draw walks too often. Just 22 this year in 417 at-bats. So he would be a swinging leadoff hitter. That's why he's in the 2 spot.
They've been looking for a leadoff guy here for a long time. They tried Peter Bergeron for a while in center field.
I think it's going to be Izturis. I believe that he will grow into a natural leadoff hitter as a shortstop.
Back to the screen. Have to like Izturis in that he can swing the bat from both sides of the plate, which is another nice advantage to have for your leadoff guy.
And he does have speed, and he was tearing it up at AAA, along with a guy named Ryan Church, who we saw in the game last night. So although they're depleted, they're still playing hard for Frank Robinson, and that's really all you can ask.
Payoff pitch is slapped over third. Andy Chavez has at least one. He's going to turn on the Jets and quickly apply the brakes. Nice job by Alou to get to that ball quickly, but Chavez 2 for 2 in as many innings.
Well, you play Chavez a little more closely in left field, and Moises did get to the ball quickly and got it in time to keep Andy at first. This is a breaking ball that doesn't break. It really just rolls. And the surface slows it down, but Moises, thinking along the same lines as Endy, gets it back quickly.
Batista struck out swinging his first time up.
Might want to use a pitch out early in the count. Endy would have been dead to rights, but he did steal number 23.
Batista, the graybeard on this Montreal team. He's knocked in 84 runs for them.
I think it'll be a tremendous accomplishment when you consider that Wilkerson leads off. He's hit 26 home runs, so you can't drive him in all that much. And this guy's going to probably drive in 100 runs.
Yeah, Wilkerson with 26 home runs has scored 90 times. So 64 times Wilkerson in 129 games has been driven in by somebody else. 4-0 Montreal on 5 base hits, 4 of them coming in a very rough first inning for Mark Pryor.
Well, the appeal to first. Ed Rapuano says no. He was trying to stop from getting hit in the head. It was a high riding fastball inside, and Batista, because he has that wide open stance, he invites the ball away. You like to throw him in under the hands.
Pop down the left field line. That one might play with the speakers. Nope, it's over the top of it. And out of play.
And there's a tussle for the baseball, and a guy that outweighs that young man by 100 pounds wins.
Well,
oh, congratulations. That was a great match.
Well, he gave the ball up to the little kid in the blue shirt. So, unlike that very rude fan in Arlington earlier this year.
But he did take it away from the other little guy.
That's
who was
true.
Still waiting for a souvenir.
Tipped and caught. Batista down on strikes for the second time. That's 3 in total for Pryor. Hey, hockey's the national sport in Canada, man. He's just showing the kid how to apply a vicious hip check.
Well, he did screen him out well and came away with the souvenir. Boy, way to take advantage of a 10-year-old.
Here's Termel Sledge.
Expo fan taking a Cub fan's baseball
That's
away.
embarrassing. They should move the franchise for that reason alone. The pitch to Sledge is downstairs. 1 ball, no strikes.
So far, they haven't tried to run with Endy. And he doesn't have a lead on the carpet. Now for the first time he does. This is the biggest lead he's had.
2 best Endies, or the 1 best Endy and best Turmel in Major League Baseball playing here in Montreal this year.
I don't think there's any doubt about that. Still a long way to go for the Cubs. They find themselves trailing the Expos' best.
Runners going. Pitch swung on, hammered high into center field. Corey still going back at the warning track, has just enough room. Sledge hit it a mile, but the park big enough to hold it. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. End of 2, 4-0 Expos.
The last of the 04s are here. It's Chevy's model year-end event. Right now, stop into your Chevy dealer and use bonus cash to get $4,500 total cash back on a 2004 Chevy Silverado half-ton crew cab. And be sure to ask your Chevy dealer about available GMAC down payment assistance. See your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers.
Copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Chicago Cubs and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of the Chicago Cubs.
It's big, and it's red. Team Saturn's Red Tag Clearance with red-hot year-end markdowns on 1,200 new Saturn. Get Red Tag savings on loaded new Saturn Ion, or lease the Ion for just $179 per month. Credit problems? Your future's in a Saturn. Finance specialists will be on hand to help you get the loan you deserve. Call 1-888-TEAM-SATURN. It's Team Saturn's Red Tag Clearance in Schaumburg, Elmhurst, Lake Barrington, and Dundee.
Time to get up and make a trip to Military and Police Supply, where you'll find a huge variety of socks, boots, and shoes. Take your time to pick a pair. It's hard to choose. We also have t-shirts, sweatshirts, coats, and jackets. If you're bug-eyed, we got your solution. Located at 7351 West Madison and Forest Park, minutes from the Eisenhower, from the city or suburbs, dial 312. Surplus for weekly specials and closeouts, serving you since 1977. Military and Police Supply. Now a few words from the drill instructor.
What the hell's it gonna take to motivate you any damn way?
You're watching FSN.
Cubs fans are invited to the Magical Gatherings Vacation, brought to you by AAA Travel. Join Billy Williams, Aramis Ramirez, Lee Smith, Jody Davis, Jim Hendry, LaTroy Hawkins, Sarge Matthews, and more. December 2nd through December 6th. You'll get to enjoy all the holiday magic in Walt Disney World, including a welcome party, private events exclusive to Cub fans, and a whole lot more. Call 1-866-4AAA-CUBS for more information. And visit beautiful Walt Disney World in Lake Buena Vista, Florida. That's just outside of Orlando. First week of December.
I know that's one of your kids' favorite places.
They'll be there with bells on, I am sure, as Todd Walker greets Livan Hernandez here in our 3rd inning of play.
And Todd's hit very well on the road. We told you about the .325 batting average, the 13 home runs. His next one will be his career high. We had a delightful chat with him before the game. And this is one of the real engaging players on this team. Last year, 85 runs driven in with the Red Sox. And he talked about the real joy of playing for 2 of the greatest fandoms in all of baseball. One in the American League, one in the National League.
2 balls and a strike. Missed away. It's 3-1. Michael Barrett to get a nice cheer when he bats here in our 3rd inning. And Walker rolls it out of play.
It's not a big crowd tonight. One of the reasons is one of the great events as far as the folks in Montreal and all of Canada are concerned. The World Championships held just down the road. Canadians leading 1-0 in front of the team from the United States. Robert Esch has it right where he wants it.
Todd Walker draws a base on balls. Livan doesn't give up many of those. That's just the 62nd walk in 203 innings this year. And here is Michael Barrett.
Michael Barrett has hit .320 on the road, and his batting average pushing .300 with good power numbers. He's in the 8th spot, but he's got a guy behind him like Livan Hernandez who can really hit. So that's a big advantage.
One of the topics of conversation with Todd Walker, and there were many of them on our bus ride to Olympic Stadium, was how difficult it is to hit for a high average in Wrigley Field. You have the thick grass, you have the capricious winds at our ballpark. In fact, Wrigley Field really the only ballpark in all of baseball where the wind, the direction it's blowing quite obviously, can determine how much offense is going to take place that day.
Well, he said it's an easy place to hit home runs, but a tough place to hit for high average. Of course, Bill Madlock, Billy Williams, Ernie Banks, and a number of others who probably have a dissenting view.
Back to the mound, Livan Hernandez tries to start a double play and does so. 1-6-3, 2 outs for Pryor.
If you're waiting for Livan to make a mistake defensively, you're going to wait a long time. He does have one error this year, but he's a bona fide candidate for the Gold Glove. Inside out swing, and Livan gets it there in plenty of time. And Alex with a strong arm completes the double play.
So the Cubs have hit into one. They've run into one double play so far tonight. And Mark Pryor is the Cub hitter. Fastball high and away. 1 ball, no strikes. Houston scores early again. They lead in Cincinnati 1-0. Boy, those Astros got their offense in high gear against the Cubs. They've won 12 of their last 15 games. And tonight they send Brandon Backey to the mound against Aaron Harang of Cincinnati.
Aaron Harang is coming off one of the great performances of his life, a 1-0 shutout against St. Louis. And I don't care when you shut him out. And I looked at the lineup that night. It was their regular lineup. He threw a gem. The Cubs hoping that he can duplicate that, but they also want the Mets to beat those Floridas, because the Florida team 3 games back in the loss column, and they have 6 with the Cubs.
That's Josh Beckett and Steve Traxel, who's dropped his last 3 games. Marlins have dominated the Mets this year. They've won 10 of 13 matchups. And Florida starting to gear up for September. Remember, they got going, as did the Cubs, in the season's final month. Florida went 18-8 last September and went all the way to the World's Championship. We'll see them next, weather permitting, this weekend in South Florida.
Another thing to bear in mind, it's San Diego, who's right there with the Cubs. They're playing the Cardinals in St. Louis. That's a daunting task. St. Louis a mere 42-23 at home.
Well, that's deceiving, because they really haven't played all that well there.
42 over total.
Pryor rips that down the right field line, and that's out of play, foul. Wild card standings has San Diego 1 half game back, Giants 1 back, but Florida and Houston only 4 back.
And while the Cubs are in pretty tough on this road trip, even though this is still a depleted Expo team, they're facing an excellent pitcher tonight. San Francisco's at home against the 2 teams that are the trailers in the West, Colorado and Arizona.
Pryor pops that right side. Wilkerson and his tourists. Wilkerson on the rubberized track is able to make the play. Nothing happening in the Cub third. Livan Hernandez silencing the Cubs bats and leads by a 4-0 score.
Congratulations! You've launched the pink slip virus. Your office is now infected. They'll soon trace it back to you. Good luck finding a new job. Congratulations! Congratulations!
Want to get away? No, you can. Fly Southwest Airlines from Chicago Midway to cities in the West for just $79.
You are now free to move about the country.
Sweetie? me dream of you. What a wicked thing to say.
I love you.
You never felt this way. What a wicked thing to do.
At Infinity's limited engagement sales event, the car of your dreams is waiting. Like the impossible to ignore 315 horsepower Infinity FX45. See your Infinity dealer for attractive lease and APR finance rates. But don't wait too long. Infinity's limited engagement sales event ends September 7th. Test drive an FX or G35 sedan and ask about our 1.9% APR.
Carlos Lee and the Sox battle it out against one of the best in the West. When Jermaine Dye and the A's visit the South Side. White Sox A's tomorrow at 6:30 on FSN Chicago.
Tomorrow night we wrap up our final visit to Montreal this season. Game 3 of the series, Kerry Wood against Tony Armas. And Dave Kaplan will have the always entertaining and exciting pregame show from Chicago beginning at 5:30 on Fox Sports Net. Juan Rivera, Alex Gonzalez, Brian Schneider greet Mark Pryor in the bottom of the 3rd inning now.
That one rattles off the mask of Michael Barrett. That's a tough position. A little smile on his face. Believe me, he's anything but happy about this. I don't know how more guys behind the plate seriously don't have neck surgery after or later in their career.
Same with umpires, too.
Unbelievable. But the umpires rotate, and the catcher's back there all the time.
Juan Rivera down a strike. And he takes a ball low. Braves are in Philadelphia tonight. That game scoreless in the 2nd. Pirates visit Milwaukee. The Brew Crew has lost 12 consecutive games, and they're starting to unload. They sent Ben Grieve to the Cubs earlier tonight for a player to be named later. Good news that the Cubs are able to get a left-handed bat with some power, Stephen Ben Grieve. I would presume, though, that the bad news is that we're not real optimistic about Todd Hollandsworth getting back before season's end.
Well, you had to know that Jim Hendry was not going to rest until he got some help for this team. And Ben Grieve can hit off the bench. There's no doubt about that, and that's the job that he'll fill. Can't have too many veterans, especially left-handed, when you look at the preponderance of closers in this league being right-handed. I mean, if you're looking ahead optimistically at the postseason, you've got Isringhausen.
Gagne.
You've got,
Smoltz.
well, Gagne, Smoltz. I mean, they're all right-handed.
Rounded toward the left side. Ramirez 360 spin after a nice pickup. Very good play at third base by Aramis Ramirez.
Ramirez has a real strong arm, and once he corrals it, the rest is easy. We told you about this turf being very slow, and that's going to help the range of all the infielders.
Alex Gonzalez went the other way for a 2-run scoring double in the 1st inning.
One of the reasons he was able to do it is Mark Pryor fell behind and then threw the fastball. Ramirez, by the way, with those 9 errors, that's a wonderful improvement over last year.
Back to the screen by the Expos shortstop Alex Gonzalez, 0-2.
I would think that would be the one hittable fastball he would see in this at bat. And once having missed it, usually winds up in a strikeout on a breaking ball.
Got another good rip at that one, however.
Mark had a fastball up, but not quite high enough. You might as well wipe him out on a curveball, because if you miss with a fastball, even by 1 iota, he can put a charge into it.
Stoney, we might have a 3.5 game separation in the AL East at the end of play tonight. How about that story? First, the 2-strike pitch, which is cut on and missed. Good slider, takes care of Alex Gonzalez. Cleveland pounding the Yankees 6-0 in the 2nd. Boston beating Anaheim 5-0 in the 2nd inning. know there's a long way to go, and it's still the Yankees, but their starting pitching, many feel, is right now one of their problems, not one of their strengths.
Starting pitching is very vulnerable. The Red Sox starting pitching is pretty good. And they do play one another 6 times. The question is, when facing Pedro and Schilling at the top and Lowe, perhaps Wakefield, will they get the job done against the Yankees? And looking at the Yankee starters, especially the last month, if you want to look at one area of vulnerability, that's it.
The Yankees tonight starting Javier Vasquez. He's 13-7. Jake Westbrook going for the Tribe. Anaheim sends Lackey against Schilling. Schilling trying to go 17-6.
That one, by the way, is far from over in New York.
No question.
Don't forget, it is the Tribe, but they've got a couple of real good starters. And if it's Lee and Sabathia, you have a problem, but it's not. And so that's why I say it's not over by a long shot.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Brian Schneider. He doubled home a run and took third on Sammy Sosa's 3rd error of the season.
Mark would like to make this one a 1-2-3 and turn it back over to the offense.
And did Michael hang on? He could not. Who's going to win the Gold Glove in the National League? You've got Schneider without an error this year. You had Mike Matheny with an incredibly long errorless streak for the Cardinals snapped earlier this year.
Well, you just mentioned it. Mike Matheny.
And Pryor does have a 1-2-3 third. His 5th strikeout of the night. Cub offense will try to come to life in the 4th. Top of the order will greet Livan Hernandez.
Fast Lane is under new ownership. Catch the most thrilling performance of the season. Pontiac Summer Drive. Now lease a 2004 Grand Am SE solid value for around $139 a month after GMAC bonus. Residency restrictions apply. Call for details. The performance of the year. The ride of a lifetime. Now playing at your Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana Pontiac dealer.
Think it's impossible to paint plastic? Think again. Krylon Fusion is the revolutionary paint that actually bonds to plastic on a molecular level. Without any sanding or priming, its unique formula provides a smooth, professional finish that won't flake off. Krylon Fusion, the no-prep super bond paint for plastic.
When we are dancing and you're dangerous, near me, I get ideas, and after we have kissed goodnight, still you linger.
Rico moves your ideas forward.
You get ideas too.
Only one thing can generate excitement like a Volvo.
Hi, I'm Bart Schuster from Volvo of Lyle. From one winning team to another, we'd like to wish the Cubs all the best in their race to the playoffs.
Cubs baseball on FSN Chicago is brought to you by Volvo of Lyle, 1 block south of I-88 on Route 53.
It's 4-0 Montreal heading to the 4th inning. Time as always for our Aflac trivia question. Who was the first father-son team to play in the same game?
Was the Griffeys, I think, wasn't it?
Happened on this date, I believe.
Well, then we'll disqualify ourselves, and just forget that you heard that. Turn on the radio, and we'll get back to it later.
They won't know about that on radio. Here's Corey Patterson. Patterson struck out his first time up. Corey's had a great month. 18 RBIs, 22 runs scored.
And he's been one of the spark plugs. I mean, when you put a guy in the leadoff spot that hasn't been there, and he excels the way Corey Patterson has excelled, that's pretty impressive. Look at the month of August.
Big swing. Ball 1, strike 1. Crowd tonight already announced. Doesn't take them long to count them here. 7,162.
Well, Yuppie greeted each one individually as they came in.
You know, you've never seen Yuppie and Ron Santo in the same room. Ground ball towards short. Alex will unload quickly and accurately. One man down.
I think the Cubs found out one thing about Alex Gonzalez last year, and that playoff game excluded. But he made 10 errors all season, and if Alex can get to it, he's as accurate a thrower as you'll find. And I think you take a guy who will make the play late. He's always been known as one of those guys. He is going to be a free agent. Nobody knows where he'll wind up next year. You have to wish him a whole lot of luck, however.
Derek Lee flying to right his first time up. Don Baylor, when he was the Cub manager, knew Bobby Knopp very well, a terrific coach with the Anaheim organization. And Don asked Bobby for the scouting report on Alex Gonzalez. He said he's the guy you want the ball hit to with the game on the line in the 9th inning. And over the course of his career, again, playoffs notwithstanding, he's been terrific afield.
Well, unfortunately for him, that 11th error he made last year, which is his number, was a big one. However, physical errors, there's absolutely nothing you can do about that. He tried to make 2 before he made 1. It happens. But he's a very dependable shortstop. By the way, I talked with Jim Fregosi on the last homestand, had a chance to go to dinner with him. He said that Bobby Knopp made the double play better than anybody he's ever seen. That was pretty high praise.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Derek Lee.
So Bobby, if you're watching out there, I think you live in Arizona, I'll let you know we're thinking about you. He was a coach of mine when I was a White Sox player.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Livan Hernandez, beneficiary of one of the great strike zones from a pitcher's perspective in playoff history when he was with the Marlins.
Eric Gregg had a fairly generous zone that particular day. What did he get, 15 of them?
High fly ball down the right field line, twisting out of play. Well, in 2 starts in that 97 series, in 10 2/3 innings, he had 16 strikeouts. $15 of them in Game 5.
I was going to say, he had 15 in one of them.
Payoff pitch, bases clear. Line drive left field. That'll drop in front of Termel's sledge. Sharply hit ball for Derek Lee. The first base hit for him in his last 13 at bats. And it'll bring up Nomar.
This one not over by a long shot as the Cubs try to battle back. Mark Pryor seems to have settled down, and so they got to come back against a tough customer. But with the Thunder in this lineup, there was a chance. Livan tried to sneak it inside on Derek Lee. You haven't been able to do that the second half of the season because he's been another guy that's been red hot.
Popped up out of play by Nomar Garciaparra.
Last night we saw a lot of guys. We rode back on the subway with the president, Andy McPhail, whose record, by the way, is still intact. The Cubs won, and he did not pay for yet another lunch. But we saw a lot of Boston Red Sox fans with Garciaparra's familiar number 5. They came up to see him specifically.
A lot of Cub fans from upstate New York here as well. Who don't want to make the trek down to New York City these days with all the hullabaloo going on in the Big Apple. So great to see Cubs fans from around the country here. There's a Red Sox fan checking out Nomar in the Cubs colors tonight.
I talked to one of the guys down there as we were kind of squeezed in. There was certainly not a whole lot of room. And he said to me that I am rooting for the Cubs up until they get into the World Series against the Red Sox. I said, you know what? We can all only hope for that because it might be the greatest thing to ever happen to baseball, because one of the curses would have to go by the board.
2 balls and a strike. I can see it now. Game 7. Bases loaded.
Game goes 25 innings.
A 3-2 pitch. Tie game, and just as the pitch is released, the lights go out.
Yeah, but Cub win hung on that, I'm sure it was a strike.
Runner at first goes. Pitch is low. And there are 2 on with 1 man out. Second walk for Hernandez, and it'll bring up Moises Alou, who hopes to atone for a base running mistake made in the 2nd inning.
I think Schneider is saying that pitch was a pretty good pitch. He might have gotten up too quickly and obscured the view of Alfonso Marquez. But you have to get up and make the throw. Watch the pitch again. Pitch was low. It was a good call. It's a good throw, but it's, as they say, a moot point. And what Moises is going up there looking for, Moises is one of the great guess hitters in the game on the first pitch. He wants to see that fastball. He would prefer seeing it middle in. And if he gets it, it's going to be a 4-3 game.
2 on, 1 out. And wisely, Hernandez pitches him away. Florida jumps in front of the Mets in the 3rd inning, 1-0. Mike Lowell and Miguel Cabrera have been scorching hot for that Florida club, and Randy St. Clair, the Expos pitching coach, out for a brief chat.
You know, obviously, this is our first look at the Expos, and you don't hear a lot about their coaching staff. We know about Frank Robinson because I pitched against him. He's a Hall of Famer, one of the greatest hitters that ever lived. We know about their hitting coach, Tom McCraw. He's been in this game, by the way, for 44 years. We've been hearing from a few folks that Randy St. Clair is one of the better young pitching coaches around.
He's done a fine job with that bullpen, especially the 2 kids we saw late in the game last night.
Alan Cordero, pretty good.
And Claudio Vargas worked 2 scoreless innings too. So all is not lost with this Expo franchise. They've just got to find a home and get some stability, and quite obviously get a fan base and some players. High fly ball, got under it. Straightaway center field. Endy Chavez should have no trouble. And he doesn't. 2 out.
Now there's a case of getting a pitch that you wanted. Moises guessing fastball again, thinking after a trip to the mound that Livan was going to try to sneak a fastball by him. He threw the fastball. Moises just got under it. Watch it again. He drops to the side. Moises just spun out. Look how happy he is with that at bat. A little frustrated.
That'll bring up Sammy Sosa. He popped out to second. His Turris ranged far and wide into shallow right field to haul in. Sammy's first at bat. A big slider swing and a miss. 0-1.
Well, a lot of people looked askance when this team got Livan Hernandez, and then were equally surprised when they signed him long term. Bear in mind, $38 million payroll, 16 of it tied up in Vidro, who's lost for the year, and Livan, 9 and 7 respectively.
They gave up Jim Brower and Matt Blank to get him,
but it was a question.
Spring training last year.
It was a question of this: if he threw 200 and some odd innings, he would vest for a big contract, and Livan does that every year.
Right.
So he did vest, and they signed him for a few more, and he's a good one.
In every major league season in which he's made at least 30 starts, he's pitched over 200 innings with the exception of 1. That was in 1999, and he went 199 and 2/3 innings between Florida and San Francisco.
And that's one of the reasons why you put Livan on your team, because he'll keep you out of the bullpen more times than not.
1-2 count is off the plate.
Now Sammy's crushed him over the course of his career, and the Cubs would love to see Sammy take this one out. If Livan gets careless, and you figure he's going to try to stay away from Sammy, if he gets careless with the 6 home runs that Sammy's hit against him, number 7 would look fairly welcome.
Leon Nomar aboard with 2 outs. And Sammy stays alive. Again, we had a nice chat with Sammy on our team charter and talked about his approach at the plate and how it's changed ever so subtly these last couple of weeks.
When I talked to him about plate coverage, I thought that he was covering the outside corner a little bit better. And he said he's moved up on the plate ever so slightly. He felt that he was just starting to put it together. That's very good news for the Cubs.
2-2 count. And Gonzalez takes care of business in the 4th inning. He's firing a 2-hit shutout at the Cubs and leads by 4.
Not too close. What do you think? I got that insurance?
What insurance is that, Yogi?
Aflac. The one you really need to have. If you don't have it, that's why you need it.
Need what?
Aflac. Well, if you get hurt and miss work, it won't hurt to miss work. And they give you cash, which is just as good as money.
Aflac. Ask about it at work.
Missed question. If we don't scream and shout or pound on the hood and just offer you a great vehicle, one combining the best of a luxury car and SUV, amazing versatility, commanding view of the road, 26 miles per gallon highway. For a vehicle like that, would you expect this? $5,000 model year-end clearance cash on 2004 Rendezvous. Move up to Buick quality. Quality that lasts.
I'm out. I guess I win. Funny how a quality beer can turn a bad hand into a winner.
Samuel Adams, always a good decision.
Cubs baseball is brought to you in part by Southwest Airlines. Over 2,800 nonstop daily flights to 60 destinations all across the country. Buick, the spirit of American style. And by Rico. How well do you print, copy, scan, fax? How well do you share?
Messier is tourist to work in the Expos 4th inning. And after a rough start, Pryor's settled into a groove. He's retired 5 consecutive men. He walked his tourists as part of a 9-hitter faced first. And there's a shot to right field. Well hit. Back goes Sosa. First career home run. Messier is tourist.
This guy's just 19 years old. You can see why they absolutely love him. Drives in his second. He's been on base twice. That was a no-doubter. If you take it from the Rusty stop sign over and from the Cardinal logo over, they jump out of this ballpark. You get into right and left center, becomes a little more difficult. Second home run given up by Pryor.
This is almost, albeit a weak hitting team, but with Livan Hernandez hitting ninth, like facing an American League team. You don't get a break with Izturis and Hernandez. Izturis hit over 330 in AAA, and Livan Hernandez, we've spoken about how well he swings the bat. Popped up right side. Derek Lee near the stands. No play. It's 0-2.
I don't think Keeney's got a big smile on his face. I'm not sure how many he's going to hit the major leagues. I think that the Cubs and Mark Pryor are very much surprised by the home run. This guy's going to be a decent hitter. I'm thinking he's not going to hit a couple hundred of those. But that one puts the Expos up by 5. And behind Livan, who's given up just 2 hits and usually doesn't walk too many people, it's a tough hill to climb.
Roller foul past first. Hernandez will tap the bat on the plate, make sure it's not a broken piece of lumber.
The Cubs knew that this most likely was going to be their toughest task because of the man you're looking at. And he's turned out to be that tough.
High fly ball center field. That's playable for Corey Patterson. Let's take a look again at our Aflac trivia question. Name the first father-son duo to play together in the Major
So it wasn't
Leagues.
Dale and Yogi Berra?
No. Maybe in an old-timer game.
It's the Griffies. And we'll flash back.
I think it was against Kirk McCaskill that they both hit home runs in the same game.
Oh, sure. Pick on a hockey player. And, of course, the youngster takes it away from Dad. To which I'm sure that the elder smacked him in the head in the dugout.
No, because Junior was out earning him in those days. Still is.
And out defending him.
Yeah. But
I faced the older of the two.
Delightful people.
I was fortunately not able to face the younger of the two. Younger had a little more power. The older hit real well.
Ball and a strike. Wilkerson, speaking of hitting well, hit one right over the center field fence leading off the game.
Kind of set the tone for this one as he just drilled it. He got drilled the game before the Cubs came to town. They took him off the field. Didn't know if he'd be able to play today. Unfortunately, he is. And he put them on top with one swing of the bat. Florida has taken the lead 1-0. That game in the top of the fourth. Houston has a skinny 1-0 lead. That game in the bottom of the fourth.
In the dirt, good stop by Barrett. It's 2-2. Colorado's in San Francisco. Giants have a pretty good run of it now. They will play the Rockies and Arizona the next 4 series.
Arizona's 20 under 500. Arizona's 49 under 500. And the Rockies 20 under 500. So the homestand will yield 2 teams 69 games under 500.
But the highlight will be Steve Finley returning with the Dodgers to Arizona for the first time. Randy Johnson, however, on the mound, and we'll see if Steve Finley is penciled into the Dodger lineup card tonight. Mark Pryor changes speeds well there. That's his 6th strikeout. You can throw away the first inning. He hasn't pitched badly at all. But alas, you can't do that. 2 outs.
Good off-speed breaking ball, and he has Wilkerson well out in front of it. And you've got to retire Endy because you don't want to face Batista, even though he is a strikeout victim twice. He's one of those guys you can strike out 3 times, then he'll hit a home run.
Inside to Chavez. 1 ball, no strikes. That's low ball 2. 2-0. 5 runs, 6 hits for Montreal. No runs, 2 hits, 1 error for the Cubs.
This would be the last guy you'd want to walk. Endy doesn't figure to hit many home runs, but he does figure to steal many bases.
Taking all the way, 3 balls and a strike. Chavez, originally a Met farmhand, is aboard for the 3rd time. 3 walks, 6 strikeouts for Mark Pryor. Just has not been able to spot that fastball consistently this year. Here's Batista. He struck out swinging twice.
His inability to spot the fastball has been particularly evident against the left-hand hitters. You remember last year, Chip, when he went to throw the fastball inside the lefties, whoever was catching would put the glove there and they would just put it right in the glove.
That over the outside corner to the right-hand hitting Batista. Strike 1. Overpowered him there. 0-2.
One more curveball here and it will put an end to this at bat. Nice idea behind Turmel's Sledge, who hit the ball a long way in the 2nd.
And that's indeed what happened. 7th strikeout for Pryor, but Masieras Torres hits his first major league home run, extending the Montreal lead to 5-2.
Hyundai's winning streak summer clearance is now held over. Save big on the Hyundai Sonata, named highest-ranked entry midsize car in initial quality by J.D. Power and Associates. It's this dedication to initial quality that lets Hyundai offer America's best warranty. 10 years, 100,000 miles. Plus, you get $2,000 cash back or 0% APR on every Sonata. So don't walk, run to Hyundai's winning streak summer clearance. Get a 2004 Hyundai Sonata with $2,000 cash back or 0% APR.
$49 down deliver. Rizzo Chevy is your home of $49 down. $49 down on over 400 pre-driven vehicles. That's right. $49 down and drive home today. $49 down on pre-driven Nissan, Pontiacs, Dodge, Buick, Chevy. $49 down delivers pre-driven sports cars, family cars, luxury cars, pickup trucks, minivans, conversion vans, sport utility. Rizzo Chevy is your home of $49 down. $49 down deliver at Rizzo Chevy in Bridgeview.
When it comes to price and selection, Joe Rizza Ford is the only place to go. Right now at Joe Rizza Ford, you can own a rugged new 2004 F-150 pickup at this low Rizza price. Joe Rizza Ford, 159th Street in Orland Park and 22nd and Harlem in North Riverside.
Says tomorrow at 6:30 on FSN Chicago.
I'm David Kaplan in the Fox Sportsnet studios with a Pontiac in-game update. Mike Piazza came off the DL a few days ago. He says, now I want to know what position I'm going to play. I'm tired of coming to the ballpark not knowing if I'm catching or playing first base. Got an idea, Mike? It might be DH. Chip and Stoney, back to you.
Dave Kaplan is quite a card, isn't he?
A joker, I think, is the...
However, I would think that eventually that will be where Mike Piazza will wind up. He'll be a great DH. He wants to add to his all-time record for home runs behind the plate, but I can understand how he'd want just one position. Remember, he got hurt at first base.
High fly ball off the end of the bat of Aramis Ramirez into shallow left field. And the play made out there by Termel Sledge as we begin our Toyota Fan of the Game inning. Our contestant tonight, Linda Price of Des Moines, Iowa. If the Cubs score here, Linda wins a Fox Sports Net Toyota prize package. That includes a hat and a t-shirt. 1 up, 1 down for Todd Walker, who did indeed walk, leading off the Cub third.
We'd like to see Todd win our young fan a prize package. He can do that because he's always hit pretty well against Hernandez, and he hits exceptionally well on the road.
That one cued at the plate. We had earlier our This Date in Baseball history feature, Steve, featuring Ken Griffey Jr. and Sr. Great question to ask the old-time scouts. Who was the hardest throwing pitcher they had ever seen? And there's usually one name that comes up, and most fans probably wouldn't know the name of this man.
No, because he never made the major leagues, and his name was Steve Delkowski, and he was about a 5'8", 5'9" left-hander, very thick glasses. Had been known occasionally to have a cocktail or two.
Not that there's anything wrong with it.
Everybody said that he threw around 110 miles an hour. When you ask the old scouts or old baseball people or anybody around the Baltimore organization in those days, and you just mention the name Steve Delkowski, they will tell you the hardest throwing pitcher we ever saw.
Well, on this date in 1957, Delkowski was pitching in an Appalachian League game.
Always a very tough league, by the way, for pitchers.
Very good hitters, very patient hitters. In that game, well, he walked. Well, he struck out 24.
Well, he usually did something like that if he lasted long enough.
Right.
And he walked
18, hit 4, and threw 6 wild pitches.
Quite obviously, the umpire was squeezing him.
No question. And he lost the game by a 9-8 score.
That was a typical Steve Delkowski game. But boy, could he throw hard.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Out of play foul.
In fact, you can ask Ron Santo about him. And although he never faced him, he would even admit that he made Sandy Koufax look like Livan Hernandez. And Ron, I know you're watching. Dave Otto's taking over on the radio side. We hope all is well with your French-Canadian dog.
And all the French-Canadian dogs in Canada send their best to Joker. They miss him.
Well, I think he's at the point now, if Vicky's not around, where he'd like to join him up here. Ronnie and Joker have had better relations. If Joker would stay in the room long enough, he'd get to know that Ronnie's a pretty decent fellow.
Three balls, 2 strikes. And Todd aboard on 4 wide ones. That's 3 walks for Hernandez tonight. Brings up the catcher Michael Barrett. Bounced into a 1-6-3 double play.
Well, you can tell when a pitcher feels that he might have some trouble with a hitter because he hasn't gotten the ball all that close with anything but off-speed pitches to Todd Walker, so he's walked him twice.
Cubs have 2 left-handed bats in the lineup tonight. While Hernandez has solved Patterson, he's passed Walker and now faces Michael Barrett, who swings and misses that.
Well, the bullpen up and going because they're probably going to take Pryor down, assuming that Michael Barrett doesn't hit into 2. Todd Wellmeyer throwing once again. Barrett was identified as a talent by Gary Hughes, who's now the right-hand man of Jim Hendry. Gary Hughes working up here. This was a productive system for many, many years.
Fred Ferreira was the Latin American scouting guru for these guys. No balls and a strike. And we told the story last night about the Dodgers having first crack at both Wilton and Vladimir Guerrero. They took Wilton. Fred Ferreira tried out Vladimir Guerrero down in the Dominican Republic with 2 mismatched sized shoes. Just had him throw the baseball and take a couple of swings, and
he liked what he saw.
Signed him for $500 on the spot. And Vladimir turned out to be the star of this franchise for many a year, and now is doing so in Anaheim.
I talked to Fred Clare, then the general manager of the Dodgers, and I just said body type. When Wilton and Vladimir come to the same tryout camp, and when they throw the baseball, and when they hit the ball for some power, just a thought. Letting the bigger of the 2 go, I'm not sure about. He said, you know, we've talked about that a number of times here in the organization.
What were you thinking?
It would appear that we did indeed make a mistake.
Well,
bear in mind that same organization, although they've been a proud and a very good one over the years, traded Pedro Martinez for Delano DeShields.
That's lined up the middle. A broken bat single for Michael Barrett. Stopping at second is Todd Walker, and let's see what the Cubs have in mind here. Are they going to let Pryor swing the bat himself, or will they pinch hit for him?
Well, right now he's going to swing the bat, it appears, because he's looking down at Wendell Kim. They're going to let Mark Pryor swing the bat. And I'm not sure what Michael Barrett would have had to do to bring Todd Wellmeyer into the game to pinch hit for Pryor. But they're probably thinking about a bunt for Pryor here, which would give away an out when you already have one. Interesting choice. We'll see if it works out for the Cubs. It's in the 5th against a guy that's completed 7 games.
Pryor lays down a bunt, and it's foul for a strike. It's 0-1.
Bear in mind the Cubs do have the off day on Thursday.
Correct.
And so that's a chance to recharge the batteries in that pen.
Now, yesterday, Kent Merker worked an inning. John Lester 2/3. He got roughed up for a couple of runs. LaTroy Hawkins came in with a 3-run lead and got a fly ball in 1/3 of an inning to earn his 20th save. So the first decision of importance for Dusty Baker. He allows Pryor to hit down 5 runs.
Well, remember that Batista is not a Gold Glover at third, so it could very well be with the bunt going down there. You might have a chance. Now the Cubs have, by the way, and Pryor is capable of doing this, asked their hitters to pull the bat back and take a swing. We've seen that a few times.
A ball and a strike. Walker and Barrett aboard with 1 out. It's 1-2 now.
Wilkerson was charging as hard as I've seen a first baseman charge since the old days of Jeff Bagwell. He just took off and actually was standing about 30 feet or so away from Mark Pryor, and I don't know if it distracted him, but he didn't get the bunt down. Normally in a situation with 2 strikes, by the way, you go away from the high fastball and you go to a curveball. Watch Wilkerson. He's just charging hard, and there's a curveball that sits him on his posterior because he hung it inside.
Well, Wilkerson's doing the Bagwell play. Mark makes contact to it.
And watch it again. This one hung inside.
And the Bagwell play very simply on a bunted ball to the first baseman's side of the infield. He'll catch it, scoop it, and throw to third base.
Well, Wendell Kim now went down and talked with Mark Pryor. And they're probably going to try the slug bunt, you would think. Just have him show bunt, bring the guys in, maybe try to punch it through the infield. Pryor is capable of doing that.
2 balls, 2 strikes. He strikes out. So Mark can't get a bunt down. Runners first and second. 2 away now for Patterson. Mark will tell you this hasn't been the best of nights to this point.
He doesn't get the bat out front, and he does not get the bunt down, but Corey Patterson can make it all academic if he can get out in front of one and hit home run number 20.
And Livan Hernandez, very tough the first 5 innings. It's after 5 innings where you have some good swings at him. You look at his ERA. The first 5 innings, it's sub-3. After the 5th inning, it's over 5.5 runs per game. And as you said, this is a man that's usually in the game late. Question is, how big will the deficit be against him tonight? It's 5s. The Cubs still have hope.
And there you see how it goes for Livan.
Fly ball left field, well hit and caught by Sledge in left. What a grab. If that's over his head, it's at least 2. Instead, the Cubs come up empty in the 5th and trail 5-0.
It may start with a look. It may start with a sound. It may start with the feel. It may start with the drive. Or it may just start with the price. The newly redesigned C230 Sports Sedan, starting at $29,970. How will it start for you?
Robert Morris College is one of the largest private colleges in the state. We awarded more bachelor's degrees in business management than any other private college in Illinois. A school where everything is cooking, where students design a path towards their future and turn their dreams into reality. A college that will test one's inner strength and create a competitive attitude. It all leads to a collegiate experience that's like no other. Robert Morris College, real college for the real world.
Circuit City's the place to get your new wireless phone today. With a huge selection and reliable service from Verizon Wireless and T-Mobile, you'll find the phone and calling plan that are perfect for you. And right now at Circuit City, you'll get a $100 gift card instantly when you buy a camera phone. Like this awesome Verizon Wireless color screen phone with digital camera. Just $99.99 after mail-in rebate. Switch to a better plan today and keep your old wireless number right now at Circuit City.
With Steve Stone, Chip Caray, welcome back to Montreal. It's 5-0 Expos, and partner Dusty Baker had the first tough managerial decision to make a moment ago, allowing Mark Pryor to stay in the game and attempt to bunt. It didn't work out, and Termel Sledge a moment ago made a great diving catch in left to deny the Cubs a chance to score.
And bear in mind, this was a guy that played first base last night, so he shifts to left where Tom McCraw, the hitting coach, said that's where he'll be. That's his position. He turned into a gem. But, Chip, I do know one thing. Mark Pryor probably thought, with Wellmeyer throwing in the pen, that he wasn't going to pitch this inning. And so, to me, psychologically, this becomes a tough inning for Mark. Let's see if he can get through it.
He's got 4, 5, and 6 up for Montreal. And this trio has scored 3 of the Expos' 5 runs tonight.
This young man can swing the bat pretty well. He has 10 home runs.
And again, the line for Pryor, 5 runs on 6 hits. But much better work and results in innings number 2, 3, and 4.
I think he settled down nicely after a rocky first, allowing his offense to try to come back, but they've managed just 3 hits against a pretty tough right-hander. The only thing that gives you some hope is that Hernandez does wear down somewhat, but you don't want to get to the Ayala Cordero aspect of this bullpen.
Termel Sledge, originally a find of Roger Youngward of the Seattle Mariners organization. The Expos acquired his services in a deal that sent Chris Widger to Seattle in August of the 2000 season.
Turned out to be a pretty good trade. Now Widger, a decent catcher, but Sledge has a chance to be a very good player. He just fought off a 3-2 curveball from Mark Pryor. Keeping himself alive on that pitch shows some ability beyond his years in this game.
Played college ball at Cal State Northridge and Long Beach State. Did Termel Sledge. And Pryor gets his 8th man on strikes tonight. One out for Juan Rivera. He's walked, scored, and bounced to third.
Back-to-back curveballs at 3 and 2, and the second one retired Sledge for the 2nd time on strikes.
That's fouled at the plate. Strike 1 to Rivera. Rivera's had a great month, hitting nearly 400 in August with 26 hits. That's pretty good work. But think about what Ichiro's done a couple of times for Seattle.
Well, he's gotten 209 hits so far.
So he's rapidly approaching George Sisler's record in a single season, 257.
It's really amazing thinking that that record would never be broken. And it's got a chance to do just that with a guy who's had over 200 hits and 4 in his first 4 seasons. And now they're coming in to take a look at Rivera, perhaps.
He's taken off the batting glove. Might have felt a stinger on that play.
I think it's his wrist. He's got his wrist taped. And they're going to confer with him. That's Manny Acta down there. John Adam and Ron McClain, the trainers. And you have to figure that that hand is singing to him a little right now. Watch it again. He fouls it off, and then you can see the pain etched on his face.
Whenever a player thinks about that wrist, you worry about the hamate bone inside the wrist joint. And Rivera now, with the bees a-buzzing in the hand, goes to work with 2 strikes. And Mark just missed 1 and 2. Tale of 2 games for the Cub right-hander tonight. First inning, not real good. Second, third, fourth, and so far in the 5th, he's had very good control. Fly ball left field. And Alou will drift back and have plenty of room. Moses handles for out number 2.
He had Rivera out on the front foot, and he hit that off the end of the bat. So quickly, 2 up, 2 down.
And our old pal Alex Gonzalez, the hitter.
Well, he's one of the villains tonight. He had a 2-run double. Mark Pryor fell behind in the first inning and threw him the fastball, and he drilled it into right field.
And the breaking ball mystifies him here in the 5th inning.
The breaking ball will continue to mystify him.
Milwaukee's jumped in front of Pittsburgh 4-0. They're declaring a civic holiday. Milwaukee's lost 12 in a row. And it's Victor Santos against John Van Beskoot, the star of Kent State University's offensive juggernaut.
Just one of the many. Houston has taken a 4-0 lead in the top of the 5th against Cincinnati. Florida a 2-0 lead against the Mets in the top of the 5th in New York.
The good news out of St. Louis, where the Cardinals are winning again, 2-0.
That's a team you just don't want to face now.
1 ball, 1 strike.
Remember, San Francisco with a big advantage as far as the wild card pursuers. They don't face St. Louis. They just came out of 4 with Atlanta. They lost 3 of 4.
Over the outside corner, beautifully delivered ball. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Mark's only given up 1 run since the fateful first.
He's shooting for his 2nd career win against the Expos. He's got to come from way back to do that.
Well, that's pitch number 100. So he doesn't figure to go much further than this.
Lined out of play.
Some thunder up in the 6th for the Cubs. Lee, Garciaparra, Alou, and if anybody gets on, Sammy Sosa.
Here comes the 2-2 pitch with the bases empty for Alex Gonzalez of the Expos, the 2nd Canadian team for which he has played. Alex also spent a lot of years with Toronto.
Well, Alex still think he's got a few more years left. And he'll be one of the free agents out there. So will Orlando Cabrera. And so will Nomar Garciaparra.
In the dirt, 3 balls, 2 strikes.
So there'll be a few guys in the middle infield that'll be available. There's going to be some very good pitchers available.
And a lot of the free agents are Scott Boras clients.
They are indeed, especially Carlos Beltran.
Payoff pitch and a base on balls. 8 strikeouts, 4 walks for Mark tonight. And Brian Schneider is the hitter. Nobody up in the pen.
Well, this is a guy you have to be careful because he's a man that can make it 7-0. He's the one guy at the bottom part of the order that can actually put a charge into the ball. He hit a ringing double to drive home a run in the 1st inning.
His fastball still popping the glove of Barrett.
Well, now Wellmeyer is throwing once again.
Out of play, left side. Count evens, a ball and a strike. American League games. Oakland leads the White Sox tonight 1-0. That game's in the 2nd inning. Oakland with a 2-game advantage over Anaheim. The A's have won their last 7 games. Cleveland 10-0 over the Yankees. Boston 6-0 over Anaheim. Both of those games in the 5th.
Good snapping curveball by Mark Pryor.
He's got Schneider in a 1-ball, 2-strike hole. And Mark bending at the waist, thought he got it there for strike 3. Instead, it's 2-2 count.
Figures to see a curveball, you just as soon take something off, keep it away. There was a curveball, but he threw it up there spinning. That's the first real sign that perhaps fatigue has set in somewhat. And now Derek Lee telling him he's going to play behind Alex, who's going to get a running start at 3-2. It's Jerry Morales, the first base coach and former Cub, telling him about Lee's positioning.
3-ball, 2-strike count. Runner goes. Pitch popped up left side. Aramis Ramirez over near the stands. And the Cub dugout, and he's able to make the play. Pryor is out of the 5th inning, down by a 5-0 score with thunder coming up for the Cubs.
What's there to do in Philly? Oh, boy.
Well, I guess they want to come over and see the Liberty Bell.
You got the Liberty Bell.
We have the Liberty Bell.
Pretzels.
The National Constitution Museum.
There's lots of theater, excellent restaurants.
Well, there's a lot of culture here.
It's like a baby New York.
For me, it's the
cheesesteak.
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 Now there's another great reason to go to Philly. You can fly there for just $99 on Southwest Airlines.
I love Philadelphia.
You are now free to move about the country.
John and Tom are regular guys. They do the usual things, the usual way, at the usual places. One day, John was down at the credit union when he decided to go unusual. Tom also did something he'd never done before.
The usual? No, I'll have one of those.
Good on you, Tom. Don't make it the usual. Make it Mike's Hard Cranberry Lemonade. Hardly the usual.
It's Toyota time, the nationwide clearance event, the year's biggest event. You've got to act now. Get great clearance savings on fuel-efficient cars like the legendary Camry, now with 0% financing up to 48 months, or 1,000 customer cash. Or go for the stylish Solara, also with 0 financing for 36 months. Toyota time, selection, value, clearance, now.
Introducing Arby's Market Fresh Low Carbies Wraps. Try the Market Fresh Turkey Ranch and Bacon or the Market Fresh Ultimate BLT. Great taste without all the carbs.
Hey Cubs fans, with summer road construction, public transportation is a quick, convenient way to get you to the game. Take the train or bus, and the CTA takes you right to the gates of Wrigley Field. And remember, if you do drive, come early, enjoy batting practice, and take advantage of the early bird discount.
The 20th Annual Cubs Convention will take place at the Hilton Chicago the weekend of January 21st through 23rd, 2005. To reserve a room now for the Cubs Convention weekend, call the Hilton Chicago at 312-922-4400. Weekend passes are $50. They'll go on sale Monday, November 8th at 10 a.m. For more information, please call 773-404-CUBS or visit us online at Cubs.com. It's getting late here in Montreal. We're in the 6th already, and Livan Hernandez a 5-run advantage.
This is where Livan starts to get somewhat vulnerable. The Cubs have enough thunder in this lineup to come back. And nobody up in the bullpen. It appears Mark Pryor will go back out there against the bottom part of the order.
A slow roller back to the mound. Livan Hernandez. Easy play for out number 1.
Picks it up barehand and throws a strike to Wilkerson.
Nomar has popped out and walked tonight.
Third time through appears to be the charm, and that's where the Cubs find themselves.
Who do you think's going to win the MVP in our league this year?
That is, well, I don't know, the $40-50 million question. There's a lot of worthy candidates.
Beltre for the Dodgers making a case as that one hit a mile high to left field. Sledge and Chavez will converge. It'll be Terminal Sledge for out number 2.
Well, there's 4 guys that come to mind. Of course, it's Beltre, maybe going to hit 50 home runs. You got both of the Cardinals. You've got Roland and you have Pujols, and every year you have Barry Bonds.
Right. I mean, for the Cardinals, it'll be the same problem, and it's a good problem for the Cardinals to have. One of those guys, Pujols and Roland, are going to siphon votes from each other.
Bear in mind, Edmonds is probably going to hit 40 home runs.
Well, so Pujols is over 40 and over 100 RBIs for the 4th consecutive year. Do you realize the company he finds himself in by doing that? Only Al Simmons, Joe DiMaggio, and Ted Williams have done that in the history of this game. That's the kind of hitter he is for that St. Louis team.
But you're right about teammates siphoning off some votes. However, if the voters decide that instead of calling it the MVP, they'll call it the Barry Bonds Award, then he'll probably get it. Because every year you could make a case for him.
Hard to vote against Bonds, who in all likelihood is going to get to 700 home runs this year.
Don't forget 1979, by the way. Keith Hernandez, Willie Stargell, co-MVP. So it can happen.
Well, we've talked a lot about it. He talks about the dearth of pitching in baseball. I tend to look at it in, as is both of our case, a much more positive frame of reference, that we're seeing a golden era of baseball offensive play in our sport.
I think it's a little of both. And every rule change and everything else you've seen, quite frankly, has favored the hitters.
Grounded toward
and
third.
It's not just a former pitcher speaking.
Oh, I agree with you.
The parks are getting smaller.
I agree with you.
They're allowing guys to armor up.
Mound is lower.
And the mound after the 68 season, with Gibson's 112 and Tion's 163 and domination by pitchers across the board, they decided to give something back to the hitters. It has swung the other way. However, pitchers are starting to reclaim a little territory. Guys using batting gloves. You know, there's a lot of guys that do that in cooler weather.
Fly ball right field. Rivera comes on, and he'll make the play to retire the side. Livan Hernandez is handcuffing the Cubs tonight.
Night. Which team, Professor, you want in?
Son, if you can wait a year for a birthday, I think you can wait a week for a package.
You never know when a golden opportunity will come your way, like the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event. Get your favorite Lexus vehicle at an incredible price.
And besides, people love the post office.
Yeah. See your Chicago area Lexus dealer.
Sundays at 10 p.m. at Chicago Baseball Extra. A full half-hour look at the week that was with expert analysis from Joe Girardi and Ron Kittle. Chicago Baseball Extra, presented by Coldwell Banker Residential Brokerage. Sundays at 10 on Fox Sports Net.
Choices. That's the big difference at Jacobs Twin Auto Plaza. Choose from quality makes: Ford, Mazda, Hyundai, Pontiac, and Buick. Choose from over 60 different models. Then, after you choose a vehicle, Jacobs Twin makes it affordable. Chicagoland loves choices. That's why more smart buyers choose Jacobs Twin Auto Plaza, 6750 West Grand Avenue.
You always win at Jacobs Twin.
Put power where you need it with savings from Menards. This peak 70-watt power inverter converts 12-volt battery power to 110-volt household current. Or how about this Herculiner 2-inch ball mount kit? Your choice, $14.99 each. Keep everything organized with Rubbermaid storage totes. Clear totes are on sale starting at just $2.48 each. A 14-gallon rough tote is $2.94. Saving money is a snap at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
You're watching FSN.
It's the finale of this three-game series tomorrow night from Montreal. And after our game this evening, as always, Dave Kaplan and Dave Otto will have our Cubs post-game show. We're looking forward to digging in with Dusty as well here on Fox Sports Net Chicago.
And there's Dave Otto. He's pinch hitting for Ron Santo, who will rejoin us in Florida, by the way, along about the same time as that hurricane's supposed to get
Francis.
there. So, Ronnie, before you book your passage yet, let's see how things work out.
I think in the grand tradition of Cubs radio analysts, I think that if Ronnie wants, he can hop on the hound and be there waiting for us by the time we arrive in Fort Lauderdale.
And he's having enough trouble with his hound. There's Todd Wellemeyer. He comes into the game, and he's got a very simple mission, and that's to hold the Expos right there. They've got a quality bullpen, and they have a man who's used to completing games, and the Cubs already down 5 as Mark Pryor exits.
And he takes care of his tourists in quick fashion. 1 up, 1 down in the Expos, 6th inning. Game got out of hand very early for the Cubs. 4 runs, 4 hits, a couple of walks allowed by Mark Pryor. Again, a key play was the Chavez stolen base. Michael Barrett threw a seed to second. The ball trickled out of Nomar's glove. Chavez was safe. And instead of that being the first out of the inning, it turned into the second run as Montreal played at 4 in that frame.
Well, trickled out is one thing, but it was a good base running play in that Chavez kicked it out of Nomar's glove. I mean, a hard slide into second. And he had the ball briefly, and then he just kicked the ball out. He was safe. The strikeout of Sledge would have been the end of the inning. But the Expos went on to score 3 runs after that. And that really was the difference, because Pryor settled down, threw very well after the first, gave up just the lone run, the home run to his tourist. But so far tonight, the offense, which has been red hot, has been non-existent.
Line drive left field by Livan Hernandez. We told you he can hit, and hit he does. His first safety tonight. The other key plays and decisions in the game. In the second inning, with a man on and 1 out, Aramis Ramirez flied out to right. Moises Alou watching the play. Instead of retreating back to first, rounded second and was doubled off. And then the first big decision for Dusty Baker came in the 5th with 2 on, 1 out. Down 5. Mark Pryor tried to bunt and struck out. So Wellmeyer to work, facing the top of the order now, and Wilkerson. Wilkerson, a solo home run in the first inning.
Cleveland's put 15 on the board in 5 innings in Yankee Stadium. It must be blowing out.
That was against Javier Vasquez. At least some of that was. And that Yankee starting staff having all kinds of problems. Boston behind Kurt Schilling, winning 6-1. You figure those scores will stay the same. Boston will be 3.5 games out.
Meanwhile, Wellmeyer has fallen behind 3-0. I think Frank Robinson would give Wilkerson the 3-0 green light.
Why not?
This guy's hit 26 home runs, including a leadoff home run tonight. Moot point.
5th walk allowed by the Cubs pitchers tonight. First by Todd. Livan Hernandez to second. And here's Andy Chavez, who's been on 3 straight times. Cubs have some bullpen issues to settle out over the final month.
Well, there's some decisions to be made as to who are the go-to guys, who are the guys that you want to come in to help protect the lead, who are the guys you want to bring in when your team is trailing. The setup man, we know the closer is Hawk. He's got 20 saves, including 1 last night, so he's throwing the ball pretty well. Wellmeyer can't find the strike zone, and Michael Barrett goes out to have a word with him. Larry Rothschild, who's one of the great pitching coaches in baseball. There's probably, off the top of any scout's head, 5 or 6 guys that they put in the elite class. And Larry certainly is always mentioned. Dave Duncan, one of those guys. Rick Peterson, who left Oakland and went to the Mets, is right in there. There's a few more.
That one had Chavez backing out of the way. 2 balls and a strike. Ground ball here sure would be nice, although Chavez has very good speed.
Only grounded into 3 double plays. I think he got hit on the rebound, maybe the left elbow singing to him somewhat. I'd like to retire Endy once tonight. We'll watch it again. It's a changeup. Wellmeyer's got a good one.
Right off the left elbow. Fought it off. 2 balls, 2 strikes. By the way, we talked about Wilkerson, 26 home runs. He's 4 away from joining some pretty exclusive company. Rusty Staub, Larry Parrish, Gary Carter, Andre Dawson, Vladimir Guerrero, and Henry Rodriguez, the only Expos with 30 or more in a year. He throws the bat at the ball. Slow roller to Nomar. Second base 1 is all the Cubs can get on a slow developing play. Chavez at first. Livan Hernandez to third. Wilkerson forced out. And Batista, who's whiffed swinging 3 times, is the hitter.
Well, for Endy, this is a bad break to have a man at first, because The plays at second would have been very difficult to throw him out, but they cut Wilkerson down. And Bautista trying to avoid the golden sombrero, which is 4 strikeouts. It would have been accomplished in just 6 innings. Mark Pryor got him swinging 3 times.
Or as they call it, Le Grand Chapeau d'Or here in Montreal.
What'd they do?
At least they do on this broadcast. 5-0. Montreal has the lead. That translates to the big golden hat. I don't know what the French word for sombrero is.
What's golden?
D'or, D''O''R.
And what's sombrero?
I don't know that. Chapeau.
Well, you see, no, that's hat.
Okay, sombrero. How's that?
Well, I can't believe you would offer a linguistic lesson without the proper linguistics.
Well, you know, linguistics is not my middle name, it's yours.
It's true. Well, being quadrilingual and all.
That's exactly right. 2 balls and a strike.
Tony having some problems with the off-speed pitches as he swung over that straight change. I'm not sure he's ever seen Todd Wellmeyer.
Todd's one of those kids. Looks like he takes off his shirt and the hanger's still in it. Very broad-shouldered kid.
Broad shoulders.
That'll come in handy in Chicago. A pitch cut on and missed, and it is the golden sombrero. 4 strikeouts for Bautista. We head to the 7th, down 5.
Focus and Adele, a Focus and Adele. Get the car and you'll go far with a Focus and Adele. The Dell PC is free. The Dell PC is free. The printer's fat. The monitor's flat. The Dell PC is free.
Get into any 2005 Ford Focus with 0% financing or $2,000 cash back, and get a Dell computer with a flat panel monitor and printer, all free.
A Focus and Adele.
Thompson, after hearing the evidence and listening to your testimony, this committee finds you guilty of obstruction of justice, embezzlement of company funds, and questionable accounting practices. Well, there appears to be some good news.
Yes, sir.
Well, I just saved a bunch of money on my car insurance by switching to Geico. Thanks very much.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Only one thing can generate excitement like a Volvo.
Hi, I'm Paul Caputo, and I'm Curtis Walker from Volvo Oak Park, wishing the Cubs all the best in the race to the playoffs.
Cubs baseball on FSN Chicago is brought to you by Volvo of Oak Park, 260 West Madison in Oak Park.
Let's take a look at our 4-game summary, and unfortunately for Mark Pryor and the Cubs, the tale of this game to this point was told in the very first Montreal offensive inning.
Here's the play. Ball kicked out of Omar's glove, and unfortunately they wanted to score 3 after that. It's 5-0. Livan Hernandez has been pretty good tonight. So at the risk of complimenting an opponent, he's been close to unhittable through 6. Just 3 hits. The bullpen up and going again for the Cubs. In case they get something going, they get down to the spot occupied by Todd Wellmeyer.
Looks like Glendon Rush down there. That's because it is. No balls and a strike to Sammy Sosa, who has popped out and struck out tonight. Livan Hernandez, 6-5 lifetime against the Cubs.
So this is one of the rare
San Francisco, Montreal.
One of the rare nights that he's actually had luck against Sosa.
1-1 your count. Padres pick up a run in St. Louis. 2-1 the score there. Woody Williams and Brian Lawrence are dueling tonight.
Unfortunately, Florida picked up a run, 3-0 there. And Al Leiter, pretty tough customer. He was leading the league in ERA ahead of Jason Schmidt. And I think we're going to run into Carl Pavano, by the way, who's tied for the league lead in victories.
Grounded towards short. Alex Gonzalez makes the play. How big is the disparity between those two? Because remember, Jason Schmidt, just coming back from that groin injury, gave up a ton against Atlanta in his last start.
Well, it's not all that much. Schmidt still leads. I think it's in the 270-something and 290-something. They're both 15-5. And it will really determine the last month of the season. This is really going to determine the Cy Young Award. Sometimes by this point, someone has it tucked away. Usually it's Randy Johnson in this league.
But that won't happen as he's toiling with Arizona later tonight against Los Angeles. Steve Finley again coming back. How about Robin Ventura?
17 grand slams.
He passed Babe Ruth and Henry Aaron with that grand slam on Sunday.
And he took it right down the line. Just barely got it out. But for Robin, I mean, some guys just have the knack. That's a lot of grand slams. Robin says he thinks this might be his last year.
He said when we were out in Los Angeles, he said, I'm too old. Everything hurts. I want to go home. And Robin.
He's had a great career, and he's a great guy.
Yes, indeed. Lou Gehrig, by the way, the all-time grand slam leader in baseball history. He hit 23 of them. Jeff Weaver, by the way, pitching for the Dodgers in that game against Arizona tonight. Los Angeles with a 5-game lead over San Diego, 5.5 over the Giants. Ouch. Schneider really rocked by that foul ball rocket.
Alfonso Marquez is going to walk out to the mound. Just give Brian Schneider a chance to collect himself. Oof. He got hit square. What a position. I started there. I was the happiest man in the world to go out to the mound. Take off that gear. Get those foul balls.
3-2. Bounce toward third. Tony Batista. Anything but sure-handed was that time, however. And it's 2 out the 7th inning for Todd Walker, who has been the only Cub tonight to reach base twice. He's walked in both plate appearances. Just 3 lonely hits for the Cubs, all of them singles. One by Alou in the 2nd, one by Lee in the 4th, one by Michael Barrett in the 5th. High pop down the left field line toward the Cub pen and out of play.
Well, you know, Chippy, I very rarely read the newspapers. When I do, I read the Chicago Tribune. But in a competing newspaper, which would you rather be, Barney the dinosaur or a Teletubby? I'll take Barney, and you get your choice of all of the
I know I'm not the
various Tubbies.
I'm not the purple Teletubby. Swing and a miss by Walker.
I don't mind being Barney the dinosaur. Pretty
well, you are much
much
older than I am. So
there's no doubt about that.
If it comes to the dinosaur reference, you'd have to be it.
And you have a point there.
Just 2 harmless children's television characters broadcasting Major League Baseball tonight from Montreal. Chip Caray, Steve Stone. It's 0-2 to Todd Walker.
Or as we like to think, the fuzzballs. Walker would like to put a ball in play. And walking twice. He's had no official ABs.
Ground ball towards second. He's got one now. As Turris throws him out. Time to stretch in Montreal. Livan Hernandez. He's throwing a terrific game tonight.
Introducing Summer Takeoff. Stay at any AmeriSuites or Wellesley Ensign Suites and receive $100 off any airline ticket anytime. So check in and take off.
Save on all your favorite music this week at Circuit City. All CDs are on sale for just $11.99 or less all week long. So now's the best time to save on rock, rap, country, and more by all your favorite artists. And get great hits like these for just $9.99 at Circuit City, including Feels Like Home by Norah Jones. Hurry in and save. All CDs are on sale for just $11.99 or less this week only at Circuit City.
Our croissants and bagels are freshly baked every day. It's one reason every breakfast sandwich we serve is so delicious and satisfying. Try one today. They take freshness to a whole new level.
Is it true that you guys do more brake jobs than anyone else?
Yes.
And are my pads and shoes really guaranteed for as long as I own my car?
Yes.
Even if it's 20 more years?
Absolutely.
Do you ever cry at weddings?
No.
It's peak driving season. Come to Midas for great value and service every day. Lifetime guaranteed brake pads or shoes are just $89.95 installed. And they're guaranteed for as long as you own your car. For mechanics known for their work and their word.
Trust the Midas touch.
We invite you to check out the auction area on Cubs.com, where you can bid on various items like a chance to throw out a first pitch or own a W flag that's flown over the historic Wrigley Field scoreboard. Proceeds from the Cubs online auction go to Cubs Care, a fund of the Robert McCormick Tribune Foundation. Cubs.com, where baseball is always on. A 3-hit shutout being twirled tonight against the Cubs, and Termel's sledge to work for the Expos in the 7th. Sledge 0 for 3 in the game. And Wallmeyer fires outside. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Livan Hernandez leading the National League in innings pitched. Randy Johnson second. Roy Oswald third. All will throw well over 200 innings. Livan is there already. That's really one of the trademarks of a real valuable pitcher. A guy that takes the baseball, avoids Yuppie, and goes out and gives you innings. Hernandez has 2 shutouts, trailing only Jason Schmidt, who has 3.
Again, you don't see the resemblance between the coach and Yuppie? I mean, I know Yuppie's much hairier.
Yeah, that's true. Yuppie's a very lovable mascot.
One-two count. Line drive, center field. Sledge continues his reign of terror. Here's Rivera. He's 0 for 2 with a walk and a run.
First hit tonight. Sledge leads it off in good shape. The Cubs down to their last 6 outs. They would just as soon, even with the off day Thursday, not go to the bullpen again if they could help it. Certainly not this inning, because with Wallmeyer due up second, he figures to be taken down. They're going to use at least 1 more. They don't want to use 2 more pitchers in this one. Although last night they only had to fill 2 innings of relief work. Merker for 1, Lester for 2/3, and Hawk for the save for a 3rd. So Maddox going 7 helped out the ball club.
I wonder if Ryan Dempster would be available tonight. We saw Ryan pitch in 3 consecutive games for the first time in his major league career. Really the first time in his professional career. After all, he was a lifetime starter.
I think they'd like to give him the night off tonight. And you're right, as a lifetime starter, pretty tough to do that. And it appeared that he really hit the wall in the second inning of work on the third straight day. So he's a guy I know that the Cubs are counting on, not only to help him get to the postseason, but if they get there, he's a guy with experience. His stuff has been very good. They love the movement of the fastball, and they love the fact that he throws sinkers.
There's a hard hit ball through the whole left side. 2 straight hits. First and second are the Expo runners. Again, the rosters can expand tomorrow for the Cubs. There were some published reports that said Neifi Perez could be summoned from Iowa.
I'm pretty sure that you would love to have him up here, because if you ever have to flip-flop or pinch hit, Neifi can certainly field. There's no doubt about it. The man has a Gold Glove to prove that.
Well, you know you're going to have DeFelice here. The Cubs acquired him today from Detroit for a player to be named. You're going to have Ben Grieve here. He was acquired from Milwaukee for a player to be named. The question is, what decisions will the Cubs make pitching-wise to get some guys here? Mike Wirtz has seen major league action. Sergio Mitre, remember him as a starter while Pryor and Wood were hurt.
Well,
He's pitched well.
I think undoubtedly, if those two guys are healthy, and we have every indication that they are, those will be two of the guys that probably would come up, because they both have experience this year.
1-0 count.
I don't think they're going to call up too many guys, Chip. When you're in contention for postseason, you just don't fill that many guys.
Right.
And they're the two additions to the team. Both veterans, both been around. One advantage for Ben Grieve, we saw it in the series against Milwaukee. He can hit off the bench, and he can hit left-handed. He's a guy that can match up pretty well against some of the tough right-handed setup men and closers that we have in the National League.
Wellmeyer's fate might depend on the outcome of this at bat with Alex. 3-0 count.
No, I think his fate is decided.
It is. He is probably going to be lifted. You've got Schneider due. You've got Rush in the pen. And Dusty Baker is going to summon Glendon. And one would presume he will double switch here. Out he comes to talk to Alfonso Marquez. And Todd Wellmeyer has a bases loaded mess in this 7th inning.
Well, you're probably going to flip-flop with Walker and Grzelcyk, you would assume, because Walker in the 7th spot. You put Grzelcyk in the 9th spot, then you'd put the pitcher in Walker's spot. And here comes Glendon Rush. Good musical group. An excellent pitcher.
The best
and
musical
he comes
group.
into this one.
They are Canadian, you know. 5-0 your score.
At Supercuts, we understand guys.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot of time
or cash, but you want hot women to think you do.
Yeah. Something that's just
Makes you look more complex than you really are.
Yes, that's it. Sort of spiky.
In a conservative, I have a job and don't live in my parents' basement kind of way.
Yeah,
Even though you do.
that's right. Oh, yeah.
Supercuts. When it comes to hair, we know how it is.
Why try Supercuts? Why not? They're quick, affordable, and have 1,700 locations nationwide.
Calling all Cubs fans. Bring your favorite team home year-round with Vineline, the official monthly magazine of the Chicago Cubs. Published out of the Cubs' own friendly confines, Vineline delivers expert team analysis, exclusive player features, outstanding photography, and more. Call 773-404-CUBS to order today and receive a free gift with your subscription. Rates start at just $22.95. Call 773-404-CUBS to order today.
I'm out. I guess I win.
Funny how a quality beer can turn a bad hand into a winner.
Schneider in with the bases.
Have been infested.
Are full of Expos, leading by a 5-0 score. Mark Gonzalez is indeed the new second baseman. He'll bat in the 9th spot for the Cubs in our middle game of 3.
What a year it's been for Glendon Rush. Regardless what they've asked him to do, he's been just spectacular. And he's going to have to be, because this is as big a jam as you can come in. Bases loaded, nobody out, already trailing by 5. Doesn't take much to look up on the board. See, Houston's winning by 4. Florida's winning by 3. San Diego, however, is trailing. San Francisco is in fairly easily, and they play later. They've got Colorado and then Arizona on a 6-game homestand. Both teams have combined 69 under 500. So the Giants look to make some hay at home. The Cubs are going to have to do it on the road.
That's going to be Brett Tomko against Jeff Francis for Colorado. He's the Canadian kid who's going to pitch in his second major league game.
And Tomko coming off perhaps arguably as good a major league game as he's ever pitched.
I think it was his first complete game shutout, and he was the guy that had made the most major league starts without having one of those before he picked it up for San Francisco. The other question is, will the Giants and Rockies consummate a trade? Both Sean Estes and Jeremy Burnitz were waiver claims by San Francisco.
They're claiming just about everybody in hopes to, one, maybe help their team, but 2, block prospective deals to any of the other contenders.
3-2, no place to put him, and it's out of play. And why would San Francisco want Sean Estes? Well, very simply, he's number 1, a former Giant. Number 2, he's a left-handed starter. But number 3, he's been dominant against the National League West this year, and the Giants play those teams a lot down the stretch.
He's especially effective when you look at how the Padres fare against left-handers. If you can neutralize Giles and Klesko, take Long out of the equation, you've got a good shot. That's one of the reasons why they wanted to add him. But Colorado in a situation where they don't have to give anybody away.
That one bounces away for ball 4. 1 run's going to score. Barrett will pick up the baseball to prevent Rivera from coming around. It is now a 6-0 Montreal game. Rush fails to get the first man assigned him, which has been a rare feat for him. And charge that run to Todd Wellmeyer.
And Schneider has 2 runs batted in. Tough pickup. But with ball 4, you don't get the wild pitch. However, his Tourist now turns around from the right side. He's already homered from the left.
Way upstairs, ball 1 from Glendon Rush.
After tonight, the Cubs have 30 games left. Each and every one of critical importance. And it gets down to every out, every situation, base running, defense, every inning. At this point, with postseason play in your grasp, it becomes very difficult. And bear in mind something, these guys start in February. They play all spring training. They play all season to do one thing, to be one of the final 8. And with 30 left, the Cubs truly have their destiny in their own hands heading into tonight's game, because they're the wild card leader. They're in charge. If they put together a real good last month, there's nobody that can catch them.
As it stands now, with the Cubs on the short end of a 6-run game, Houston winning, Florida winning, Padres down just 1. No matter the outcome of that game, you could have 5 teams within 4 games. Beg your pardon, 5 teams within 3 games of the wild card entering the month of September, which, as we know, begins tomorrow.
Remember something about Florida, although they are back a bit, if they win tonight, it'll be 5 in a row, but they're only 3 losses in back of the Cubs. And as we know, with 6 games left, 3 losses, and the loss column is the only important column because you can't get them back.
Broken bat roller towards short. Cubs will concede a run, and as Torres runs too fast to bounce into a double play. Rivera scores. Gonzalez to third. Schneider forced at second.
Well, Frank Robinson was most unhappy last night with a few of the calls and was on the field quite a bit. Seemingly enjoying this one. The infield stays back with the bases loaded, and the Cubs can't turn 2. As Torres with great speed, he drives in his second run, and behind Livan, Hernandez has just been all Expos tonight.
And speak of the devil, Hernandez in there again. He shoots that ball down the right field line. And no chance for Sammy to make the play. Fine catch by a fan with the cap. Dusty knows all about Livan Hernandez. He managed him with the Giants.
Talked to a French-Canadian fellow before the game today. He's assigned to the FBI. Went through Quantico and works out of Washington, D.C. He was at the game tonight. Used to work for the Expos. He's got some friends. One a French-Canadian, and his wife a Chicagoan of Japanese descent. They came up, and she's a great Cub fan. They were at the game. They're just ecstatic to be here, but they're not going to like the result of this one. She said she was born and raised around Wrigley Field. They're in section 108. They brought some great signs. One of them just made me laugh out loud. It was a sign in French about Ronnie's dog.
Two hits for Livan Hernandez.
We're going to give Livan the MVP tonight if this score holds up. He's fielded his position flawlessly. And he's hit the ball pretty well. One of those nights for the Cubs. Bear in mind, this is a ballpark in the last 10 years where the Cubs have won less than a third of their games. A tough place to play. You get Montreal on the road, you do pretty well. At home, they're a pretty tough team to contend with, and we've seen that tonight. They came in over the last 10 years 12-27. It would be 13-28. This score holds up. It's pretty decent at this point for the team north of the border.
Well, a disturbing trend for the Cubs, quite frankly, the last 6 games. They've given up 12 runs in the first inning. And the Expos notwithstanding, 4 of those games for the Cubs were against the Houston Astros. When you fall behind, even an offense that has up until tonight been clicking in very good shape, it puts an awful lot of pressure on your bats, and that's tough to come back from a big hole when you're facing the other guy's best pitcher, which is Livan Hernandez, and that's the fate befalling the Cubs here in game 2.
The Cub offense has had a great August. There's no doubt about it. They've just hit everything in sight.
Fly ball by Wilkerson toward left. Alou chugging hard, can't get there. And around third and stopping is his Turris. The ball was dropped momentarily, and the bases remain loaded for Montreal.
That one falls in front of Moises, and there's no way that Manny Acta could have known that Moises was going to juggle the baseball. You have to pull up on the artificial surface. He didn't figure he'd miss it, so he held him right there, and the bases are loaded.
So 3 runs, 3 hits in an inning plus for Todd Wellmeyer. And Glendon Rush is having to work overtime here. A 3-run 7th makes it 8-0 Expos.
And you figure that for Glendon, he's it. Get out of this inning, because at this point, you don't want to use another pitcher.
Another flare shallow left. Can Mo get there this time? He will. No advance. Chavez retired. But old reliable Tony Batista is going to stand in, looking for his 5th strikeout of the night. Did they give a platinum sombrero for 5?
I never quite understood that. I think 3 is a silver chalice, 4 the golden sombrero. You strike out 5 times. You might remember Richie Sexton did that against the Cubs, but it took 17 innings and he had 7 at bats.
Well, let's say, besides a bad night, it could be Le Chapeau Platine.
Yeah, very much. That is a tough night, though. But before you attack that one on, this guy can still hit the ball out of the park.
Yes, he can. One strike pitch way off the plate, evens it up. And 1-1.
With the bases loaded, 8 grand slams, that's a pretty good number. This guy has always had a lot of power. That's never been a problem.
Another ricochet shot off Barrett's mask.
I think Michael's going to remember this game, if for nothing else, than a sore neck. Former Expo, now very happy to be the Cubs' everyday catcher, but it's been a tough night. He's had a few of those this evening.
And he does have the platine. 5 strikeouts, all of them swinging. That's the lone positive tonight. It's 8-0 Expos.
Hey, man, want to go to lunch?
Yeah, sorry about that forearm shiver yesterday.
Come on, it's touch football.
Hey, you guys gonna go to lunch?
Yeah, Nancy, sorry about the clotheslining you yesterday.
No biggie.
Football is back. To celebrate, Subway introduces the $3.99 foot-long kickoff. Get any foot-long sub for just $3.99. Only at Subway.
Hey, Jeff, sorry about that leg whip.
It's just a femur.
You can elect to go left. You can elect to go right. Or you can be an independent. Summer Jam. Join the party now at your Cadillac dealer. Cadillac. Breakthrough. Visit your Chicagoland area Cadillac dealer for this attractive offer. Residency restrictions apply.
Whether you like Jack Daniels mixed, straight, or on the rocks, there's really only one way to drink it. Responsibly.
Cubs baseball is brought to you in part by Cadillac. Bold vehicles defying convention. Robert Morris, Rio College for the real world. And by Nissan, who invites you to shift the way you move through the world.
Here's a look at our upcoming schedule for Cubs baseball. We're headed down to Florida for what, at least according to the weather forecasters, could be a very soggy and windy weekend. Then we're back home for a 6-game homestand, Montreal and the same Florida Marlins, before we take off on our longest and last road trip of the 2004 regular season. On we go to the 8th inning. Big number 61 has a big 8-zip lead after 7.
Well, he leads the league by a pretty wide margin in complete games. He's trying to complete his 8th. I'm not sure if they'll let him go the distance, but the closest pursuer has just 4. And you see the numbers, they're very impressive. This is a guy that never overpowers you, but he's always thrown well enough to stay in the game. Since '97, when he came into the league and pitched so brilliantly in the postseason, everybody knew that he could handle pressure situations. So this is the last guy you want to face if a win is essential. He's the best up here.
Michael Barrett will face him first. Hernandez has retired 8 straight men in tonight's game. Kind of surprised they haven't put the hockey final on the scoreboard here tonight.
You have one very enthusiastic fan who's screaming, I don't know, 20 rows behind the Cub dugout. He's very excited about Livan's performance tonight.
Is his name Jacques?
I have no idea.
Base on balls. If there is a blemish to Hernandez's game, and it's a very slight one, that's his 4th base on balls tonight.
Mark Grzelcyk, who came in the flip-flop batting order in the number 9 spot. He gets his first at bat this evening against his former mates.
Wasn't he the guy that made a bet with Cliff Floyd?
He did. and he didn't change his seat.
Yeah, he said if I hit a home run, you'll change the seat, right? Well, the guy reneged on the deal.
And then he hit a second. He made the deal that if he hit 2, and he hit a second home run, and he still didn't change his seat. It looks to me like for him the most difficult part is finding a hat.
It was Richard Hidalgo, it wasn't Cliff Floyd.
Hit the second home run, and he still didn't move from that seat.
You just can't trust guys like that. That's terrible. 0-2. Bouncing ball should be 2, but it isn't. It's muffed at second base by Asturias. He did smother it, however, and gets Michael Barrett, the leading runner. 1 on, 1 out. Back to the top, and Corey Patterson. He's 0 for 3.
Cubs had an opportunity when Corey Patterson came to bat in the 5th inning. He hit a line drive rocket with 2 men on. And Termel Sledge, who played first base last night, moved to left field tonight, made an unbelievable catch. It took the Cubs out of the inning. It turned them away. And now Macias with his first at bat of the night. That was a great play by Sledge in left field. The Cubs would have made it 5-2 at that point.
And if it rolled far enough away, Corey might have been able to go all the way around.
Well, it was one of the things that changed the complexion of the game.
So Macias, a former Expo, is one of the subjects of the Buick opinion poll tonight. Who's your favorite former Expos player on the Cubs? Tapped foul at the plate. 2 balls and a strike. Slap foul out of play. 2-2.
Well, they retired 2 number 10s here. Most unusual that you would see 2 retired numbers, the same number. And one we're very familiar with, the Hawk, Montreal's gift to the Cubs, and Le Grand Orange, Rusty Staub.
Wow. Nice pronunciation,
you
too.
didn't think that I knew what a big guy with red hair is described north of the border. I
thought you were going to say Youppi.
No, but
he's a big guy with red hair.
Yeah, that's true. And he did look a little like Rusty, but I think Rusty hit better. I think Rusty hit about 900 against me lifetime.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
He did tell me I was tipping my pitches, however.
There's a liner hit to right, one of the hardest hit balls of the evening for the Cubs. But Macias is out number 2.
I said, well, I'm glad you told me that. I thought the catcher was telling you what was coming, so at least I know it's coming from me.
I wouldn't think that'd be a good sign if you're a pitcher if the man in the on-deck circle is actually laughing as he hits the batter's box.
He was some hitter, and it was a great lesson for those who played around him, because as a pinch hitter, he did nothing but look at the pitcher every time he went to the mound to figure out just exactly what he would do if he came on to pinch hit late.
High fly ball by Derek Lee to right. That'll chase Rivera back. Shy of the track. 8th inning in the books. Livan Hernandez continues his dominance. 8-0 your score.
Here's an honest question. If we don't scream and shout and just offer you a great full-size car with award-winning quality, rated a first for safety, that gets nearly 30 miles per gallon highway. For a car like that, would you expect this? 5,000 model year-end clearance cash, not just on any car, but on America's best-selling full-size car, the 2004 Buick LeSabre. Move up to Buick quality. Quality that lasts.
Hey, Mr. Opportunity again. By now, I know that you know that Honda is having a clearance, so I've only got 4 things to say. CR-V, Pilot, Odyssey, Element. So repeat after me, go see your Honda dealer. Good. The 2004 Honda clearance. Choose or you're going to lose. Lease an 8-passenger Honda Pilot EX for $299 a month for 36 months. And where? Yeah, your Honda dealer. I'm Mr. Opportunity, and I am still knocking.
Can you tell who has the lowest mortgage rate in your neighborhood? If any of them use the honest people at a guaranteed rate, you might. They'll beat any lender's rate or pay you $250. It's that simple. For the lowest mortgage rate guaranteed, call us at 866-934-RATE. Guaranteed rate. Lowest rate guaranteed.
Sox A's tomorrow at 6:30 on FSN Chicago.
I'm David Kaplan in the Fox Sportsnet studios with our Cadillac in-game update. While the Cubs are struggling north of the border, the Padres are struggling in St. Louis. Cardinals right now a 5-2 lead. It was 5-1. Brian Giles has just left the building.
Cap, thanks. Couple of changes defensively for the Cubs. We'll show you those in a moment as Sledge swings through and misses. Goodwin's in left. Macias stays into play center. Ramon Martinez at shortstop.
Well, the bullpen up and going for the Montreal Expos. It's Tucker. Made a good car, and he's trying to make a good reliever. He has had a start this year, but 43 previous appearances.
I don't remember the car, but I do remember the movie. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
I believe the only thing the Expos are missing, and if there is one thing, is they need a larger media guy. Right now it's up to about 5 pounds.
Well, they've got to print it in a couple of different languages. That's part of the adventure of coming up here. When you need that critical stat, you have to make sure you don't turn to the French page, unless, of course, you can speak it as well as we do.
Oh, yeah, there's no problem there.
Sledge retired in the 8th inning of play. Juan Rivera scored a couple of runs tonight. It's 8-0 Expos. Sooner or later, they'll all be in English and Spanish, I would think. Out of play by Rivera. 7,162 here tonight. Many of Montreal's sporting fans glued to the televisions as Canada beat the United States in hockey play tonight. In the opening game of the World Cup of Hockey for those two nations. And folks around these parts a little worried that might be the only hockey they see for a while. The NHL players and owners have not yet agreed on a labor contract extension.
Well, they have 2 games here in Montreal, and then it'll shift.
2 strikes the count to Rivera, and he will stay alive. Rush had him well off stride. Kerry Wood and Tony Armas tomorrow night. That'll be on Fox Plus beginning at 6 o'clock Chicago time. Cubs are going to need a good performance from Kerry Wood. We're to take 2 of 3 north of the border. Wood did not pitch particularly well in his last outing. Gave up 4 home runs in 4 innings and a third. That was a 15-7 Houston victory.
And both of these guys have had a few arm problems this year. You might remember Tony Armas. First of all, his father was a major league outfielder. Had the sense to make his son a pitcher. And his son, a great arm, original property of the Boston Red Sox, now finds his way here north of the border.
Full count pitch coming now to Juan Rivera. That ball smashed into center field.
You can see why they like this young man and why one of the reasons they made the Vasquez deal. Obviously, it was a monetary consideration. Most of the Montreal deals are. But they insisted on Rivera as part of the compensation back. He's got a couple of hits and a walk. He drills this ball to center. He's got the great arm. And we see the building blocks of a team that has a chance to be pretty good. Now, they're in very tough. There's no doubt about that. They've got some high revenue teams. Philadelphia with a new stadium has spent a lot of money. Atlanta continues to make a shambles of the East. The Mets will get nothing but better for the simple reason that they will have astonishing dollars to throw at that team. And you have Florida, and they've been very good. So the division isn't particularly easy, but there's some pretty good young players up here. The Cubs, however, have got to try to crush them tomorrow. Winning 2 of 3 is essential for their health and well-being in the wild card race, which they control at this point. So when you have, and the only thing you can ask for is to have your destiny in your own hands. They have that. And they got 6 with Florida. They can make it almost impossible for the Marlins if they dominate that home-and-home series with them. That's the team, personally, I fear the most.
High pop, shallow right. In comes Sammy Sosa. That's the second out of the bottom of the 8th inning. Will bring up catcher Brian Schneider. Giants getting set to start against Colorado shortly. Giants enter play a game back. Florida winning, Houston winning tonight.
The Cubs could use the Colorados to rise up and do something they don't do very often. Just 24-40 on the road. That has been something that's plagued them since that franchise started. They play well at home. Sometimes they dominate at home, not this year. But they go on the road and they get hammered perennially.
They've lost 7 in a row coming into tonight's action.
So they're due.
They are overdue. And they may be dropping off a couple players at the end of that series in San Francisco. And it's Jeff Francis against Brett Tomko.
Looking at the stuff of Jeff Francis, he's going to be a good one. Big left-hander.
High fly to left. That'll chase Tom Goodwin back. Had a hairy synapse there for a moment. That's a little terrifying. 8-0 your scores. We go to the 9th inning.
Polyunsaturated.
P-O. Gingivitis. G.
Pungent.
P-U-N-G. Hyperventilate. V-I-A-T-I-N-N-T-D.
Sweet dreams.
S-W.
There's an easier way to get to Washington, D.C. Fly Southwest Airlines nonstop for just $79 from Chicago Midway.
You are now free to move about the country.
I love you.
Don't forget to call, son. Yep, I got you right in here, Dad.
Sign up for the Family Share Plan, and now the whole family can make unlimited in-calls to each other and any other Verizon Wireless customer anytime without using any plan minutes from our national in-coverage area. Plus, buy one LG 3200 for $29.99 and get one free.
Oh, I need to call her back.
Are you all in? Verizon Wireless. We never stop working for you.
You think about designing an SUV with room for 7 people. And room for the things that 7 people like to take along. But mostly, you think about the 7 people themselves and how an SUV can finally help protect each and every one of them. You think about that, then you build.
The Volvo XC90, the first SUV equipped with third-row safety curtains, a roll stability control system, and guided by conscience.
Introducing Arby's Market Fresh Low Carbies Wraps. Try the Market Fresh Turkey Ranch and Bacon or the Market Fresh Ultimate BLT. Great taste without all the carbs.
On Wednesday, September 8th, the first 20,000 fans will get a scratch and win card. And 250 random winners will get an MLB authentic Ryne Sandberg autograph Rawlings baseball. That's compliments of Van Kampen Investments. Fans are encouraged to hold on to their cards for second chance drawings throughout the game. There's no purchase necessary, and for complete rules, visit Cubs.com.
And there's Mr. Tucker. Now, in French, you would pronounce it T.G. Tucker. You didn't think I knew that, but I did. And there you look at the numbers this year. Of course, in English, it's T.J. Tucker. In any language, opponents have hit 278, which is a pretty high number.
Hard hit ball, And under the glove of Tony Batista over at third base. So Ramon aboard. And TJ might stand for Trey Jolie for Major League hitters. Tom Goodwin will hit for the first time now. Cubs trying to spoil the shutout bid of Montreal tonight. They've been blanked a total of 15 times this season. The Expos have handed out 9 shutouts themselves. Two of them by Hernandez.
The league lead is Schmidt with 3. And it looked like the way Livan was pitching. And if it was a close game, he would have let him complete this game. But with an 8-run lead, he figures the lead is safe for Tucker. They've got some real good young pitchers, and we saw them with Vargas 2 perfect innings last night. We saw Ayala for an inning. We saw Cordero, their #1 draft choice last year, for an inning.
Yeah, they have the potential of when Francis Beltran is healthy and back up to speed next year, to have a real power bullpen.
Omar Minaya, the general manager, has done a nice job here. Was talking about the potential of his young pitchers. That's one of the reasons why they took Biddle out of the closing spot and started. It looked like he swung, and he did.
And he'll sit now, 1 on, 1 out.
Field down to Ted Barrett. And yes, indeed, that was well too far. So there's the first out.
First pitch popped up, center of the diamond. Who wants that? Alex Gonzalez will come in, battle the blue turtle shell, and make the play for out number 2. Cubs have not had many chances in tonight's game, but one of the key sequences of the game came early in the second with Aramis Ramirez up. The line drive double play with Moises Alou wandering too far off first might have set a bit of a tone offensively for the Cubs, who were down 4 runs at the time.
And the great play by Sledge in left field, along with the stolen base that would have been stopped but wasn't, and then all of a sudden it went downhill. I mean, you can look at a few plays that might have turned the tide, but tonight, let's face it, Livan was too tough. The Expos hit a couple of home runs.
And their park continues to be...
Yeah, it's a tough place. It's a tough place for the Cubs to win. The Expos played an errorless game. So,
yeah, team 21 under 500, only 4 under at home.
One of those things. They had a much better second half at home than the first half, where their home was in 2 places.
Popped up again, and that should do it. Right side of the infield, Wilkerson is going to give way to his Turris. And the young, precocious youngster who hit his first major league home run tonight. Wilkerson added his 26th. Livan Hernandez now 10-12, another double-digit win season for him. As he beats Mark Pryor, his record falls to 4-4. And this series, Steve, tied 1-1. And the rest of the National League a chance to gain ground in the wild card. San Diego now at the moment tied with the Cubs. The Giants a half game back. Florida and Houston bidding to go 3 back entering the month of September.
Look, let's face it, the Cubs knew when they came on the road in Montreal and Florida, it was not going to be an easy road trip. And the Cubs still 4 over on the road, and our Hyundai player, no doubt, Livan Hernandez, with his glove, with his bat, with his arm. It was just too much Livan. And another shutout. A big night for Hernandez and the Expos.
8-0 is the final score. Not much positive to talk about tonight unless you're an Expo fan, and we're not. 8-0 the final score. David Kaplan, take it away in our Fox Sports Net Chicago studios.
All right, Chip, coming up on our Cubs postgame show, we'll talk live with manager Dusty Baker. Plus, we'll review the performance of Cubs starter Mark Pryor, and we'll update the wild card race in the National League. It's all coming up, so don't go anywhere. A lot to do coming up on the Cubs postgame show.
Fox Sports Net's coverage of Chicago Cubs baseball is brought to you in part by Southwest Airlines. Over 2,800 nonstop daily flights to 60 destinations all across the country. Your Chicagoland Pontiac dealers. Heineken, it's all about the beer. Heineken. Comcast, proud to be Chicagoland's cable company. Jack Daniel's Tennessee Whiskey. Nobody makes whiskey like Jack Daniel's. And by Hyundai. When your car comes with America's best warranty, you win. Hyundai.
Hyundai's winning streak summer clearance is now held over. Time is running out to save on the popular Hyundai Elantra. The Elantra costs $1,600 less than a Honda Civic LX when comparably equipped. And right now you get $1,500 cash back or 0% APR on every Elantra. Plus, Hyundai's award-winning quality is backed by America's best warranty. 10 years, 100,000 miles. So don't walk, run to Hyundai's winning streak summer clearance. Get a 2004 Hyundai Elantra with $1,500 cash back or 0% APR.
I wasn't always up to speed on the internet.
Do you have any email for me?
Now, thanks to Comcast, I am a broadband goddess.
Top Gamer 12 has left the building.
Comcast high-speed internet is always on, no dialing up. Their highest speed puts dial-up and DSL to shame.
You're not at 3 megs? Get a life.
What are you looking at?
That was then. This is Comcast.
Get connected for $19.99 a month for 4 months. Call 888-4-BEST-TV.
Thinking about HD service? Well, you have a choice. With DirecTV, you may need to buy an expensive receiver for each HD TV, a bigger dish, and to get all your local HD channels, you'll need an antenna. But with Comcast Digital Cable, we just replace your digital box, and all your HD programs will come in crystal clear. HD TV from Comcast Digital Cable. One call, one box, and you're all set. It's the easiest way to get the most from your HD TV. Call Comcast today.
Is the ATA Chicago Cubs postgame show, live from Fox Sports Net.
Welcome into our ATA Cubs postgame show. I'm David Kaplan. Tough game tonight for the Cubbies. Dave Otto will join me from Montreal in a few minutes. Cubs lose 8-0. Livan Hernandez throws a terrific game. But right now, let's go back to Montreal. Pick it up with Chip and Stoney, who are digging it with Dusty, brought to you by Nissan. Guys?
All right, Cappy, thank you very much. You hit it on the head, and Dusty Baker, you know all about Livan Hernandez. You had him for 3.5 years in San Francisco. When he's on your team, you love to see these kind of performances. This is an Expo team that when you play him, you just as soon not face Livan Hernandez, and tonight we saw why.
Well, you know, Livan, when you give him those runs early, I mean, he has a lot of weapons to work with. He can throw you anything at any time. You know, he's a good fielder. He's an outstanding hitter, which he displayed tonight. And, those 4 runs in the first inning were, just what, Livan needed and wanted. Like I said, I had Livan for 3.5 years, and boy, you give him early lead, this guy gets tougher and tougher.
Well, he certainly is an innings eater, and you know that this team here is pretty dangerous in their home park, Dusty, and you had a critical situation with Mark Pryor. You elected to leave him in to bunt with an out. You had 13 outs to go. As it turned out, it didn't work out very well, but what was your thinking at that point, not going to the bullpen, leaving Pryor in?
Well, I mean, number one, we need Mark, and we need to get him together. And number two, if he bunts him over and we get a hit, it's 5-2. My bullpen is short already, because these guys have worked a lot. We didn't have Dempster tonight. Reminger and Merker has gone, 3 out of 4 days or 4 out of 5 days. And so with our bullpen being short and with the need of Mark to get it together, and, you come out the game after 4 or 5 innings, it'd be a couple times in a row, it's a downer for him. So, we certainly need to get Mark together in order, for us to make this run.
And Dusty, there's no doubt that Mark Pryor is a vital cog in this machine. And you mentioned another name that I think is going to play very large on the way in. That's Ryan Dempster. Now, I know he threw 3 times in a row for the first time in his career. Kind of hit the wall in the third performance in the second inning. Now, Is he okay? I know you've given him 2 days of rest. This is a guy that's shown great stuff, and to me, he looks like a dependable guy for you to use out of the bullpen.
Well, he is, and you know, like I said, he wasn't available today because 3 out of 4 days is still a lot to ask, you know, for a guy, you know, even though he's been going relatively short, coming off of Tommy John surgery, and so you know, I mean, this is a guy who's going to come up big for us, especially with Farnsey being out.
Dusty, last question for you. You acquired 2 new guys, Mike DeFelice and Ben Grieve, coming from Detroit and Milwaukee, respectively. Of course, September 1 comes tomorrow. Any other names we should look forward to seeing as rosters expand, and will you get any help for the bullpen down the stretch?
Well, you know, Nefi Perez is going to come in tomorrow, too. You know, we added him on the roster to give us some added defense in the infield. And, you know, hopefully, you know, guys like Sergio Midre, you know, could be in the mix as well as a couple other guys. We haven't exactly, you know, decided whom yet. You know, we're searching for, you know, for outside guys as well as inside guys. So we just have to wait, and we'll probably find out on Friday.
Well, as we say after a game like this, turn the page. New day tomorrow, September, and let's keep the run going. Thanks for your time as always, Dusty.
Okay, thank you.
8-0 the final score from Olympic Stadium. Your final thoughts?
Well, I think tonight is one of those nights where you say Livan Hernandez was a little tough. Last night, the Cubs scored early, and Greg Maddux made it hold up because he's always thrown well against his team, especially in this ballpark with an ERA in the 250s. Tonight, unfortunately, the Expos scored early. They scored 4. They gave the lead to a guy that's awfully tough. He's a wonderful front runner. This is a guy with 7 complete games. You know he's going to go deep into each and every game. He leads the league in innings pitched. You don't figure to get him if you don't get him early. The Cubs didn't. Unfortunately, Mark Pryor, who righted the ship after a tough first inning, had some problems, but then threw pretty well. But it was just too little too late. All Livan, all Expos. They win tomorrow. It's 2 of 3, which is really all you can expect in this ballpark.
New day, new month tomorrow, Cappy, and we've got Kerry Wood going to the mound. You know, Kerry's going to really have the eye of the tiger. He has a redeemer on his mind. He didn't pitch well against Houston last time out. He'll be taking on Tony Armas, who also is coming back from some arm problems for the Expos. We'll see you here tomorrow night beginning at 6 o'clock Chicago time.
All right, Chippy, we'll see you tomorrow. Steve, let's review our pregame keys. Dave Otto is also with us. And, Steve, we start with you. You picked Brad Wilkerson, and he got the Expo offense rolling early, Nostradamus.
Well, unfortunately, it turned out to be a key that really hurt the Cubs because this is a guy that didn't play last night. He got hit in the knee, pretty much carried off in the game before the Cubs got here. And although you don't wish anybody any ill will, with Jose Vidro out for the year, you'd like to see Wilkerson take a few games off. He came back in. He hit his 26th home run. And this was a guy that really set the trend. They went on to score 4 in the first inning. And unfortunately, the problem is that Sammy Sosa, who has great luck lifetime against Livan Hernandez, wilted under tremendous pressure of Alexis Key put on him by Dave Otto. So, Dave, I know you're pinch hitting for Ron Santo. You usually make your Alexis Key after the fact, and you're brilliant at that. Before the fact tonight, it just didn't work out all that well.
No, it didn't. And you figure by August, the end of August, I'd learned my lesson on picking a Cubs player as my key. But I think it was more a case tonight of Livan Hernandez with that early lead. And Steve, both of us, I believe you had Ray Miller as a pitching coach, as did I. And his adage was, boy, work fast, throw strikes, and change speeds. And that was all of Livan tonight. And once he got that early lead, Stoney, you can't give Livan 4 runs in the first inning and expect to do anything against him. He was outstanding. Unfortunately, Sammy had a tough night.
Well, you're right, and you forgot one thing about Ray Miller, one saying. In fact, he printed up shirts for us when we went to the World Series in 1979. That was, stay within yourself. Now, I didn't understand it then. I don't understand it now. But it was his saying, Dave. And unfortunately, tomorrow, if you'd do us a favor, please pick an Expo.
Absolutely.
Somebody in the middle of the lineup will do nicely, and hopefully tomorrow will work out a little bit better. So, Dave-O, that's really the story from here. I mean, it was a tough night for the Cubs in a ballpark that has been nightmarish. Yes. In fact, 13 and 28 in the last 41 games in this ballpark, and when and if they don't come back in this particular park with the artificial surface, the Cubs are going to be a very happy band of little Cublets.
Yes.
Steve, enjoy some of that fine French cuisine in Montreal and do what I do. Make either Chip or Mr. Otto pay. We'll see you tomorrow night. Hey, Lefty, let's talk about Mark Pryor. 1 inning was his undoing tonight. He did have a pretty good run in the middle innings, but, boy, that first inning was tough.
Yeah, one of the things, Mark Pryor's coming off 3 starts where he's thrown the ball well. And tonight, while he had a decent fastball, a couple of pitches did him in. You know, he gives up 3 runs with 2 outs, and he fell behind. I don't care how hard you throw. If you fall behind in the count to big league hitters and to an offense that has struggled this year, you're going to have some problems. And that was the case with Mark early on in this ball game. I really thought he turned the corner. This is a guy, and I heard you talking with Dusty Baker, Chip and Steve were, that you need this guy in the month of September. I mean, 11-1 down the stretch last year. He's a big part of the ball club. Unfortunately, he didn't get it done tonight. And hopefully next outing, and you hang your hat on Kerry Wood tomorrow night, hopefully he can have a good outing and at least win 2 out of 3 against a decimated Montreal Expo ball club with all of the injuries.
All right, let's review tonight's mound matchup as Livan Hernandez bested Mark Pryor. You take a look at the numbers. Dave, Livan Hernandez, flat out phenomenal.
Well, anytime you give a starter of the quality of Livan Hernandez 4 early runs, he goes on cruise control. You know, the one thing he did extremely well tonight, he changed speeds, and he threw strikes. And by changing speeds, by throwing that breaking ball, then he could zip you with that fastball. And not only with all of his pitches, but with those pitches, he also dropped down on a couple of guys. So a lot of guys out on their front foot tonight, and then they get the fastball and you can't get on it. You can't center him. So a good outing for Livan Hernandez. And I'm just hoping that the Cubs don't see him in Wrigley Field. Hopefully Frank Robinson will pitch Livan Hernandez on Sunday, and the Cubs get to duck Livan Hernandez at Wrigley Field because he is a tough cookie. And even though he doesn't have a winning record, this offense doesn't score him a lot of runs, but he's one of the best in the National League. A workhorse, over 200 innings this year, leads the National League.
All right, Dio, sit tight. We're coming back to you after this brief timeout. We still got a lot to do on the post-game show. It rolls on. We're going to have highlights. Not a lot of highlights for the Cubbies. Not very plentiful, but we'll tell you what happened tonight. Expos beat the Cubs 8-0. We're back after this.
Closed captioning on Fox Sports Net is brought to you by your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers.
The best day to get a low fare on ATA is the day you book your flight. Because every day is a low fare day on ATA. So it's really not a matter of when you want to go. It's really a matter of where you want to go. Now that's easy. That's ATA.
So I'm gonna go easy, go ATA. I'm gonna go easy, go ATA. Focus and Adele, a Focus and Adele. Get the car and you'll go far with a Focus and Adele. The Dell PC is free. The Dell PC is free. The printer's fat. The monitor's flat. The Dell PC is free.
Get into any 2005 Ford Focus with 0% financing or $2,000 cash back and get a Dell computer with a flat panel monitor and printer, all free.
A Focus and Adele.
30 years ago, a neighborhood butcher created a cut of steak that was tender every time. All that was left to do was come up with a name. No name steaks, tender every time.
I love you.
Don't forget to call, son.
Yep, I got you right in here, Dad.
Sign up for the Family Share Plan, and now the whole family can make unlimited in-calls to each other and any other Verizon Wireless customer anytime without using any planned minutes from our national in-coverage area. Plus, buy one LG 3200 for $29.99 and get one free.
Oh, I need to call her back.
Are you all in? Verizon Wireless. We never stop working for you.
It's all about freedom to see clearly, to be at the top of your sport, the top of your profession, at the top of the world. It's freedom, brought to you by Kraft Laser Vision Correction. No one can match the Kraft Eye Institute and Laser Vision experience or results. Why trust your eyes to anyone else? The Kraft Eye Institute. It's freedom to see, to do, to be your best. Call Kraft today and see how far freedom can take you.
Nissan Titan, muscular lines. Murano, sleek lines. Armada, massive lines. Of all the thrilling lines that Nissan brings you, this may be the most interesting. The bottom line at the Nissan National Sales Event. Get 2% financing or $1,000 to $2,000 cash back on select new Nissans. But hurry, September 7th is the end of the line. See your Nissan dealer now.
Time now for the results of our Buick poll question. Who's your favorite ex-Expo? Now on the Cubbies, and no surprise here, Michael Barrett, who's having a heck of a year. He runs away and hides Moises Alou. He is second. Welcome back on our post-game show. I'm David Kaplan. It's highlight time, so cue the tape. Let's see where this one went off track, and it was early. Cubs versus Expos, game 2 of the series. Bottom one, Brad Wilkerson leading off, and he takes Mark Pryor's second pitch of the ball game over the center field wall. Expos grab a quick 1-0 lead. Still in the first, Termel Sledge, Endy Chavez stealing. Barrett's throw perfect, but Nomar cannot hang on. Sledge would strike out. Cubs should have been out of the inning. Instead, that opens our Feldco window of opportunity for Alex Gonzalez after a Juan Rivera walk. A-gone. His first AB against his former mates. He doubles the right scoring two. It's 3-0 Expos. Next batter is Brian Schneider. The same exact spot. Gonzo scores. Sammy has a little trouble fielding the ball. Schneider ends up at third. Expos lead 4-0. Cubs would not threaten much in this ballgame, but they did have a chance in the fourth. 2 on, 2 off for Sammy, and Livan Hernandez just blows him away. 90-plus mile-an-hour fastball, and Sammy's out to end the inning. Bottom four, Mark Pryor had settled down until now. Macier Azturis, a solo homer to right, his first of his career. 5-0 Expos, and that meant Dave Otto, not a happy camper up in the radio booth. Bottom 7, 7-0 Expos. First and third, 1 out, and Livan doing it all like Maddox the night before. He singles to left off Glendon Rush, scoring Alex Gonzalez. 8-0 Expos. Dusty does it get, number 1001. 8-12-0, 0-4-1. The numbers from this one, not pretty. Welcome back to my partner, the lefty, Dave Otto. Dio, Cubs starting pitching has been up and down over the last week. They go into the Houston series, win the first game, get pretty good pitching. Maddox good last night. Now they got to get the series win tomorrow with Kerry Wood on the bump.
You know, it's one turn in the rotation, and out of the 5 starters, only one had a good outing, and that being Greg Maddox yesterday. And whole key for Woody is location, and that was the case with Mark Pryor tonight. I don't care how good of stuff you have. If you don't have good location, you're going to have problems. And one of the things that Woody did not do, left a couple fastballs up and out over the plate. And granted, that was a hot Houston team last time. Woody has never thrown the ball well at Olympic Stadium. Hopefully that will change tomorrow. If I'm not mistaken, he got his first big league win here, but other than that has not. But you have to hang your hat on the big boys. I mean, Pryor and Woody were two of the main cogs in the Cubs last year when they went 19-8 in September. So hopefully Woody will flip up a gem and save that bullpen.
You know, Dio, one thing that was real neat to see about Kerry Wood, it was a tough outing for him, but after the game, somebody in the media said, well, the wind was blowing out. He said, my man, the wind could have been blowing out, blowing in. They were hitting those balls out of the park. I pitched very poorly. I love to see athletes who are stand-up guys. No excuses out of Kerry Wood. Now, tomorrow, he goes up against Tony Armas Jr., who really is a very good pitcher. The record doesn't show it, and he's dealt with some injuries.
You know, and he's one of their hotter pitchers. I mean, Livan Hernandez coming off a bad outing. Tony Armas went 3 innings last time out, gave up 3 runs, and had to be taken out of the ball game. And this is a guy that's never been able to put everything together for an entire season because of injuries. But when he's right, he can be tough. He has a live fastball. He has a pretty good changeup. So against this Cubs ball club, I mean, he saw what Livan Hernandez did against them tonight. And I imagine Armas will throw a ton of changeups tomorrow, trying to get Cubs hitters out on their front foot. A night, though, Cap, where You know, tip your cap to Livan Hernandez. He got the early lead and he dealt. It would have been a different ball game if it was tight early on, but unfortunately it wasn't. Hopefully Kerry Wood can get it going right out of the gate tomorrow and flip up a gem.
Dio, he needs a washing machine, Livan. He was flat out filthy, as you like to say around the newsroom.
You know, but his stuff isn't overwhelming. But it just goes to show you when you change speeds, that's all it is. We were talking in the radio with Pat Hughes, and if you can change speeds, that makes your fastball go from 88 miles an hour to 94 miles an hour, and that's what he did tonight, and he's tough to pick up. And again, with an early lead, he's tough.
No mascot for you in the postgame show? Where's your buddy?
No what?
No mascot.
No mascot. Well, that's where things went wrong.
Exactly.
I had Yuppie in the pregame, and he's gone now, so no Yuppie tomorrow.
Yeah, keep Yuppie out of there. We don't want him tomorrow night.
You got it.
Dio, enjoy the rest of your evening. I'll see you tomorrow night for the series wrap-up.
All right, Cap.
All right, when the post-game show returns, we will check in on the Astros. They're playing some very good baseball as of late. They're in Cincy tonight. We are back in a jiffy.
The best day to get a low fare on ATA is the day you book your flight. Because every day is a low fare day on ATA. So it's really not a matter of when you want to go. It's really a matter of where you want to go. Now that's easy. That's ATA.
So I'm gonna go easy, go ATA. I'm gonna go easy, go ATA.
You think about designing an SUV with room for 7 people. And room for the things that 7 people like to take along. But mostly, you think about the 7 people themselves and how an SUV can finally help protect each and every one of them. You think about that, then you build.
The Volvo XC90, the first SUV equipped with third-row safety curtains, a roll stability control system, and guided by conscience.
We created No Name Steaks that were such a hit it got us thinking, what else could No Name do? Introducing a new full line of No Name meats. Steak was just our appetizer.
This just in, 8664.
Feldco.
Call 866-4FEL DCO.
If you're a candidate for new windows, call Feldco.
Call 866-4FELDCO.
Feldco replacement windows stand for top quality at a low factory direct price.
Over 100,000 Chicagoland customers have chosen Feldco. Make the right call today.
Call 866-4FELDCO.
Our croissants and bagels are freshly baked every day. It's one reason every breakfast sandwich we serve is so delicious and satisfying. Try one today. They take freshness to a whole new level.
If a homemade dune buggy can have an off-road suspension, if a solar car can use lightweight materials to increase fuel efficiency, if a vehicle this small can have incredible power, then why can't your truck? At GMC, our engineers don't just ask questions, they have answers. Introducing the mid-size GMC Canyon. Professional-grade engineering. It's not more than you need, just more than you're used to.
Welcome back on our post-game show. I'm David Kaplan, and it's time for our ATA fly around the bases to see if the Cubbies could maintain their slim lead in the wild card standings. To the Big Apple we go. The Fighting Fish against the Mets. Top 5. Florida, bases loaded, and 2 outs. Steve Traxel facing Josh Beckett. Ball 4. Trax walks in a run, and he's not a happy camper. Next batter, Juan Pierre. Base hit to right, 2 more runs score. 5-zip Fish, and that's it for ex-Cub Steve Traxel. 5-0 final in this ball game. So Florida just 3 in back of the Cubs now in the wild card race. The Astros taking on the Reds in Cincinnati. Carlos Beltran takes Aaron Harang deep to right. It's 2-0 Houston. Next batter, next pitch. Jeff Bagwell has left the building. Back to back. It's 3-0. 2 pitches later, Lance Berkman makes it back to back to back to back. Pitcher Brandon Backey. Got all that? It's a blowout. 3 homers, 4 pitches by Harang. 8-0. The Astros now just 3 back in the wild card race. 2 other games of interest. St. Louis trying to help the Cubbies. 7-3 over San Diego. Jim Edmonds has cracked his 37th. And Colorado and San Francisco. Francis against Tomko. That game is just underway. Let's grab a look at the up-to-the-moment wild card standings in the National League. See the Cubbies 12 over 500. San Diego, if they do not come back against Cardinals, would slide back. San Francisco has a ball game going on right now. They could draw even with the Cubs with a victory. And you see Houston and Florida. Philly, no factor in that race. White Sox battled the A's in Chicago tonight. This one not going the Southsiders' way. Oakland with a big lead right now. It is 7-1 in the ninth. Sox fifth starter troubles continue. Felix Diaz gets another shot. Bobby Crosby, a rocket double. Scores Eric Burns. It's 2-0 Athletics. Next batter, Marcotte. He rips a double pass first. 2 more runs score. And that made it 4-0. And as I say, in the ninth, it is 7-1. Oakland on cruise control. We'll be back to wrap up the show and look ahead to tomorrow night's game after we take this quick timeout in the greatest city in the world.
The ATA Chicago Cubs postgame show was brought to you in part by Wendy's. Wendy's Super Value Menu is still only 99 cents. It's better at Wendy's.
What makes someone crave a Wendy's bacon mushroom melt? Is it the quarter pound of beef that's served fresh and hot from the grill? Is it the warm cheddar sauce so loaded with succulent mushrooms that your mouth waters? Or is it how it's combined with strips of hickory smoked bacon that makes it irresistible? Well, as long as it's back, who cares? Get a bacon mushroom melt made just for you today. Only at Wendy's. It's better here. And our pickup window's open till 1 a.m. or later.
You've been waiting all year for this moment to arrive. The one and only clearance going on now at your Lincoln Mercury dealer. Get model year-end savings on everything, including Mercury Grand Marquis, the highest-ranked full-size car in initial quality. Now get no-charge leather seating, plus $4,000 cash back or 0% APR, plus $1,000 Ford credit cash and $1,000 Conquest cash. See your Lincoln Mercury dealer today.
Looks great. 1 week. Call Empire today for custom windows and vinyl siding in a week. Our energy-efficient windows feature self-cleaning glass. Our vinyl siding is durable and maintenance-free. You'll save time and money, plus no payments till 2006, and get a free gift. Call Empire today.
1 week. Done.
What were we waiting for?
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today.
Introducing Arby's Market Fresh Low Carbies Wraps. Try the Market Fresh Turkey Ranch and Bacon or the Market Fresh Ultimate BLT. Great taste without all the carbs.
All right, guys, you know the plan. Great customer service and can-do attitude, right?
Right.
Joey, sales.
I'm on it.
Steve, new tires.
You got it.
TJ, rotations balance.
Check.
Mears, Sorensen, McMurray, donuts.
Donuts? We can do donuts.
Discount Tire is the proud sponsor of the number 41 Dodge with drivers Mears, McMurray, and Sorensen. Race on in and get the lowest prices on the world's best brands. Discount Tire Company.
Moises Alou and the Cubs' powerful lineup take their big bats north of the border to visit the up-and-coming Expos. Cubs Expos tomorrow at 5:30 on FSN Chicago Plus. Only one thing can generate excitement like a Volvo.
Hi, I'm Bart Schuster from Volvo of Lyle. From one winning team to another, we'd like to wish the Cubs all the best in their race to the playoffs.
Cubs baseball on FSN Chicago is brought to you by Volvo of Lyle, 1 block south of I-88 on Route 53. To keep up on Chicago sports, order the Chicago Sun-Times with home delivery. Just call 888-84-TIMES. The Chicago Sun-Times, the bright one.
Take a look at the upcoming schedule. Cubs one more time with the Expos. We'll have it for you here on FSN tomorrow night at 5:30. Day off on Thursday. Cubs, Marlins all weekend long. The wild card race heating up. So the Cubs lose to the Expos tonight. Rubber game of the series, as I said. Tomorrow, we'll have it for you. Kerry Wood against Tony Armas Jr. I'm David Kaplan for Dave Otto, our great crew here, including the ill Todd Benjaminson. We'll see you tomorrow night. Good night, everybody.
My cable company's acting different, and frankly, it's freaking me out.
Call us if you have any questions.
Lately, they've been using these new words like yes, and they're on time, and they're friendly. I mean, who does that? Suddenly, my TV cable is supercharging my computer internet, and my computer is acting more like a TV. Bam, it's right there. That's not right. It's giving me the willies.
That was then. This is Comcast.
So, what do you think?
I think I need something faster.
Faster? You know how much horsepower this thing has?
1?
Yeah, about that.
Some things just don't compare.
Where you going?
Like Comcast high-speed internet versus DSL. Comcast is up to 3 times faster.
Get connected for $19.99 a month for 4 months. Call 888-4-BEST-TV.
We're going streaking! Bring your green hat, Snoop Loop. It's the top 10 most amazing individual streaks in sports history. For 19 NFL seasons, Jerry Rice has been coming back to the huddle saying the same thing. I'm open. And for 19 years, he's been right. The uncoverable one opens our list at number 10 with the mind-boggling streak of 273 consecutive games with a catch.
Hello, Jerry.
Across the middle, complete to Rice, touchdown, Rice touchdown.
Jerry Rice's consecutive games with a reception streak started back in 1985. Once he passed Art Monk at 183, he never looked back.
When you look at a record book and there's this giant disparity where number 1 just blows number 2 away.
Complete to Rice, into the end zone, touchdown.
It is pretty phenomenal that Jerry Rice always manages to catch a ball in every game.
And your hat is off to him because that means a quarterback believes in it.
The catch was made by Jerry Rice.
It's an amazing streak considering how many different quarterbacks he's played with. He had Steve Young.
Back to throw Young.
He had Joe Montana.
Tanner rolls to the right, complete to Rice.
But every now and then you're going, who's this guy throwing to Jerry Rice?
Yeah, it's Sissoko, and he's got Jerry Rice.
Garcia hits Rice.
It's Meyer. Looking for Rice.
Jerry's going to grab the ball no matter what.
Well, I mean, he just obliterated the record book.
There should be therapy for the countless number of defensive backs that Jerry Rice made look helpless.
I don't know if anybody will ever accomplish what Jerry Rice has accomplished ever again.
Even male pattern baldness can't slow down Jerry Rice. That's how amazing he is. During his incredible 1997 season, Barry Sanders rushed for over 100 yards in 14 straight games. There's no official record, however, of how many strained groins and torn ligaments defenders suffered trying to catch the magical back who jukes his way onto our list at number 9.
Sanders cuts back in, breaks a couple of tackles, still on his feet.
In 1997, Barry Sanders ran for 100 yards in 14 straight games.
Peyton never did this. Jim Brown never did this. Barry Sanders is the only player to ever run over 100 yards for 14 straight games.
It's like, wow. I mean, and I didn't say that about a lot of guys, but this guy could do things that no one else could do.
He's the only guy that I ever heard coaches say, everyone just get around him.
Sanders cuts back in, breaks a couple of tackles, still on his feet.
The guy is what you call a magician. Barry Sanders is the type of running back that you don't want to be caught one-on-one on television because he's going to embarrass you.
Don Lynch, his jock strap is laying, think still, on about the 20-yard line. And after that, it's lights out.
100 yards was nothing for Barry Sanders. Sometimes he would have 100 yards after 3 carries.
And the give us to Barry. He has a holding on. 30, 40.
I don't know that Barry could ever not have a 100-yard game. You know what I'm saying?
Sanders needs 2 for 2,000, and he's right about at 2 there.
Barry Sanders always played on terrible teams, but at the same time, he's one of the greatest running backs in NFL history.
Hey, it's all in the hips, right here. Like Barry, this next guy's legs never stopped moving. For almost an entire decade, he reduced every event he entered to a race for second. At number 8, with 107 straight wins, the incomparable Edwin Moses.
Edwin Moses, the young man who's becoming a story.
Edwin Moses dominated hurdling, kind of like that other Moses dominated the Red Sea. It was a biblical proportion.
He was beating guys, and I thought he was Moses. And I was young enough that I saw the headlines, Moses wins again.
When you take on the word Moses, oh, man, a lot of pressure on you, man, since the day of the Bible.
Charlton Heston, I thought, won another race.
Some people are just superior specimens. They're just better than the rest of us. And Edwin Moses was one of these cases where he found a way to dominate.
I believe he had better technique than a lot of the other hurdlers.
He was able to put that streak of wins together, man, on a sport that is so demanding. When you reach that pinnacle and you're on top of it, everybody's gunning for you.
That 10-year mark, that's amazing. I mean, none of the young guys couldn't beat him. Was he that good?
Edwin Moses heading for the finish line.
I guess so.
Edwin's streak lasted for 9 years, 9 months, and 9 days. When the streak ended, he was 32 years old.
To have that kind of streak, that really is the true measure of a champion.
Yeah, you definitely have to just applaud the longevity, especially in a sport like track and field.
It is Moses running away with it.
For him, that competition pushed him.
Moses wins it.
We are hurdling to number 1. More amazing streaks from the rink, the diamond, and the hippodrome when the sports list returns.
There's something to be said about losing 27 straight.
Young checking, and a right-hander delivers a 3-1 pitch, and it's ball 4. And the Dodgers win on a bases-loaded walk with 2 out in the bottom of the 10th inning.
Oh, it was sad.
Introducing IMAX. Diverse guests, smart analysis, and challenging questions. Weeknights on FSN.
Then throw some punches.
They're 12 men with nothing in common but a dream.
Once I step between those ropes, I consider myself a warrior.
Now, Oscar de la Hoya will guide them as they compete for a shot at a real tight fight. From the producers of Fear Factor, real boxers, real punches, no actors.
Win, lose, or draw, this is it right here.
12 will start, but only one will become the next great champ. Premieres at 9, 8, 10, 12, Tuesday, September 7th on Fox.
The all-new Kawasaki Brute Force 750. Biggest V-twin engine in its class, independent rear suspension, totally invincible. Go ahead, cancel the search party.
K-Swiss, spin it like this.
Put your spin on it.
Personalize it.
This way. Put your spin on it.
Make them look twice. My K-Swiss.
Put your spin on it. Color it up.
Dress it up.
Spin on
Dress it down.
Clean and white.
They go with what I wear.
Put your spin on it. Put your spin on it.
K-Swiss. On DVD, the team's perfect plan.
Gentlemen, to us.
Just got ugly.
Well, this is Mountain Girl, and she helps me with everything.
Hey, you bought your to the Waffle Hut?
From the creators of Fargo.
I don't give secrets. That's not how you maintain a loving relationship.
You bought your to the Waffle Hut.
The Lady Killers.
I will thank you to stop referring to Mountain that way. She is the other half of my life.
The man bought his to the Waffle Hut.
Own it on DVD Tuesday, September 7th.
Hey, I can see you cooked. Yeah. That's so nice of you. Yeah.
Dockers Pro Style. Shirts and pants that do it all.
Introducing the all-new Toyota Tundra Double Cab. Not just big, life-sized.
There's something special in the air on the best damn sports show, period. Weeknights on FSN.
MLS is back, and so are we. 10 teams, 2 conferences, 1 desire to rule American soccer. Every week from east to west, the brightest young talent on the planet will be playing for honor and glory. Freddie, Landon, and DeMarcus are the new kids on the block. But watch out for the veterans. Major League Soccer is on Fox Sports World and also broadcast in Spanish on Fox Sports en Español.
Welcome back. We are streaking to number 1 here on the sports list as we count down the top 10 individual streaks of all time. Slumping hockey players have been known to have nightmares that they might never score again. Well, for 5 straight games, one red-hot goalie made that nightmare a reality. At number 7, it's the Phoenix Coyotes' Brian Boucher.
Ow! Whoops! That's okay. At Oakbrook Toyota, you still get the gold.
2004 Camrys. 0 APR for 48 months. Or lease a Camry and get a grand cash back.
There's only one, Bob Royman.
It's our Everyone Wins sales event going on now at Bob Royman's Oakbrook Toyota in Westmont, just 3 blocks west of Route 83 on Ogden Avenue, Westmont.
Everything was passing them.
Finally, a puck is behind Brian Boucher.
Over 330 minutes without a goal. And then a little shot from the blue line, goes in, blows the streak. That's life.
And Brian Boucher gets a standing ovation.
From a hockey goalie born in America to a baseball star born in Canada. With a streak that spanned 3 seasons, at number 6, it's Dodger closer Eric Gagne and his 84 consecutive saves.
0-2 pitch. There it is. Eric Gagne has the record.
Gagne, the streak he put up is going to be right up there with DiMaggio's 56.
Yeah, strike 3. The ball game is over. 75 in a row for Gagne.
Got the goggles, got the lid pulled down.
I mean, the guy saved 84 games. There's guys who can't save 1 game.
Gagne with his 84th consecutive save.
His streak started, with the Diamondbacks. It's kind of ironic that it came back to the team that finally broke it was the Diamondbacks.
Chopper signs, can't get it, deflects it by Clark. Here comes Gonzalez to score.
What I love is the fact they go, he blew it. Well, no, he did. Somebody had a good night. They hit the ball.
He had a lead, a save opportunity, and it goes down the drain.
Baby, that was a good run.
It was an amazing streak, and it was sad to see it end. I mean, it was power, it was grace, it was everything, and he handled it so well.
Gagne, he's the king. I don't think it'll ever be done again.
There's breaking a record, and then there's breaking a record held by the immortal Cy Young. That's just what Greg Maddux did by winning 15 or more games for 16 straight years for the number 5 streak of all time.
Maddux strikes him out.
He is nothing but control.
I know if you have one 15-win season, that's a good year for a pitcher.
You win 15 games for 15 years, you're a first ballot Hall of Famer.
He doesn't have incredible stuff, but he can pitch.
Got him.
He knows more about a hitter than most hitters know about themselves.
There it is. 7 strikeouts for Maddux.
He doesn't blow people away like a Randy Johnson. So Greg Maddux was just a craftsman. And in this showmanship era, I always think he was a little bit underappreciated.
And Maddux delivers.
Maddux is a surgeon on the field.
When you think of a good spotter, you think of a guy like Greg Maddux. Doesn't overpower you, but he spots his pitches.
He throws breaking balls for strikes behind on the count. That's the sign of a pitcher.
14 strikeouts for the master.
He's just a little goofball. I mean, there's several times where a grown man picking a booger and would wipe it on my leg and thought it was absolutely hysterical.
On the field, Maddux is all business. During the course of the streak, Greg earned 13 Gold Gloves and 4 Cy Young Awards.
A pitcher to stay healthy enough to win 15 games a year for that long is amazing.
I don't think we'll ever see a pitcher put together a streak like this again.
And now Greg has his sights set on ending a streak, the Cubs' eternity without a title. When we come back, the streaks will be bigger, longer, and more unbreakable, I promise. on the sports list.
I've never watched hockey. You got three things brothers don't like: ice and sticks and people with masks. You dig what I'm saying?
Today.
I'm all wet. Can I come out?
Comes the most revealing. She's a porn star. Most shocking comedy of the year.
Dude, I'm kind of uncomfortable watching this with you. Put it away.
The Girl Next Door. Only unrated version today.
No, no, no way! How long have I been doing this job? I'll tell you how long. 2,000 years. 2,000 years of loyal service. My contract clearly stipulates that I, and only I, am responsible for controlling access to heaven and giving out wings. And now, well, just look at this. So it all counts for nothing. I'm surplus to requirements. The employment prospects for a 2,000-year-old doorman are less than great. Oh.
Hey, I can see you cooked.
Yeah.
That's so nice of you.
Yeah. Dockers Pro Style. Shirts and pants that do it all.
An unheard of 30 hours of battery life. Introducing the new Sony Network Walkman, like no other.
Like this.
The rearmed Giants, McNabb and the Eagles. Fox NFL Sunday returns with a doubleheader September 12th.
Well, team chemistry is something that every team is looking for, not every team has. And the best way I could describe it is when you're so in tune with your teammates that you know what they're thinking before they even say a word. And it's in the bat rack. Sorry about that. Team chemistry, it's what every team needs to win.
Max Matson Mitsubishi announces the best back cars in the world event. Get a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty and roadside assistance. 5-year, 60,000-mile bumper-to-bumper warranty on every new 04 Mitsubishi. Receive 3 years or 45,000 miles of scheduled maintenance. 0% financing or cashback from $1,000 to $5,000 on new 04 Mitsubishi, including Endeavors and Gallants as well as remaining 03s. Wake up and drive to Max Matson Mitsubishi, Downers Grove, Countryside, and Aurora, Naperville.
What makes someone crave a Wendy's bacon mushroom melt? Is it the quarter pound of beef that's served fresh and hot from the grill? Is it the warm cheddar sauce so loaded with succulent mushrooms that your mouth waters? Or is it how it's combined with strips of hickory smoked bacon that makes it irresistible? Well, as long as it's back, who cares? Get a bacon mushroom melt made just for you today, only at Wendy's. It's better here. And our pickup window's open till 1 a.m. or later.
Welcome back. We are now at that part of the countdown where the streaks become basically incomprehensible. When Howie Bedell hit a sacrifice fly to end Don Drysdale's consecutive scoreless innings streak at 58 2/3, who'd have thought it'd leave the door open for another Dodger to break that record 20 years later? At number 4, it's Oral Hershiser.
Oral Hershiser. There's a name that kind of rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it?
I don't care for guys named Oral in general. I see if you're going to go for Oral, you go for Oral.
And now the champ, Oral. Got it. 9 strikeouts for Hershiser.
When you're talking about great streaks, there's one streak that doesn't get the mention it deserves. Oral Hershiser, 59 consecutive scoreless innings.
Former Dodger Don Drysdale set the record with 58 2/3 scoreless innings. Many thought the record was unbreakable.
The fact that Hershiser was a Dodger, trying to break the record of a beloved Dodger, helped bring even more drama to this.
After pitching 5 consecutive shutouts, Oral was in position to break the record on his last start of the regular season.
Got it.
To the guys in the clubhouse that were playing there, just talking about, gosh, hey, we've got to save them. We got to keep it going.
I was out there making adjustments every inning, every pitch, thinking through the at-bat, thinking through the wind, the grass, what's going on, where am I in the lineup?
Hershiser ready, and the 1-2 pitch is swung on him, and Hershiser has the record.
Oral threw 10 scoreless innings, setting a new mark.
It was called the Bulldog.
but he never really looked like a bulldog. I mean, he had sort of a Pekingese look to him.
The fact that he did what he did in the heat of a pennant race and helped an average baseball team win the division and go on to win the World Series.
Got it. They've done it.
Truly elevated it to the highest rank.
59 innings? That's crazy.
From the looks of him, I'm guessing Oral had some long scoreless streaks in high school as well. That's mean. Death and taxes used to be inevitable, but with cryogenics and offshore tax shelters, it seems the only sure thing in America is who will start at quarterback for the Green Bay Packers. At number 3, the indestructible Brett Favre.
Holy moly. Touchdown Packers.
Early in the 1992 season, Brett Favre was called on to lead the Packers. Over 190 games later, he still hasn't missed a start.
Brett Favre is probably one of the toughest quarterbacks to play the game, period.
This guy's played through a lot of injuries that a lot of other guys would never even thought of playing through.
He's gone out there with the bum thumb and aches, but somehow he has been out there every Sunday.
He has an amazing streak, and he's not ready to give up.
Touchdown.
When you think of how physical that sport is, combined with he's the guy they're all looking for.
The quarterback position, whether he's being sacked, he's back there being knocked around 35 to 40% of the time.
Don't care about nothing. He'll go out there and brawl with the big players, get up in your face.
Goes out and has fun. This guy right here has ice water in his veins because he doesn't know if the game's on the line with the last seconds or if it's in the middle of the game. He plays the same way.
A strike from Favre.
Tenacious.
There are moments when you go, if he's doing it, I better put it out. Favre exhibited a lot of that with losing his father.
The most difficult start of Brett Favre's illustrious career. Brett Favre's father died, apparently of a massive heart attack. Brett Favre had to make a decision. Does he play tonight or doesn't he play tonight? He has chosen to play. Touchdown Packers.
I love him. I love everything about him. He's the old gunslinger.
Favre. Touchdown.
I love him because he's such a warrior on the field.
Touchdown. Touchdown. Favre. Touchdown.
In Mississippi, I guess F-A-V-R-E spells Favre. I'm not arguing. The greatest individual streak of all time when the sports list returns.
It's showtime, folks.
Fox Movie Channel, bringing you the best of 20th Century Fox films, uncut and commercial-free. That's the way you want them, that's the way we show them.
Your first action film, how are you feeling?
This is all new to me. They hunted him.
Please, don't take pictures of my family.
Oh, he'll box him in. They shot him from every angle.
Let's go make some money.
They're never gonna stop.
They never saw his bad side.
He's coming for us now.
Get out of here.
You first.
Paparazzi. Rated PG-13. Friday, only in theaters.
Hey, I can see you cooked. Yeah. That's so nice of you. Yeah.
Dockers Pro Style. Shirts and pants that do it all.
The all-new Kawasaki Brute Force 750. Biggest V-twin engine in its class, independent rear suspension, totally invincible. Go ahead, cancel the search party.
College football Saturday returns. Joe Klatt leads Colorado into a Rocky Mountain rumble, while rivals Colorado State seek to avenge last year's bitter loss. College football Saturday, presented by Kia Serra.
Looks great. 1 week.
Call Empire today for custom windows and vinyl siding in a week. Our energy-efficient windows feature self-cleaning glass. Our vinyl siding is durable and maintenance-free. You'll save time and money, plus no payments till 2006, and get a free gift. Call Empire today.
1 week. Done.
What were we waiting for?
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today.
That's
That's okay. At Schaumburg Honda Automobiles, everybody gets the gold.
We crush the competition. We're the Midwest Honda volume leader. We stock more Hondas. We sell more Hondas.
With our sales volume, we carry a lot of weight.
There's only one, Bob Rohrman.
It's our everyone win sale going on now at Bob Rohrman Schaumburg Honda Automobiles, just 8 blocks west of Woodfield Mall on Gulf Road, Schaumburg.
Now finding the lowest mortgage rate won't take any work at all. Not when you have honest people at Guaranteed Rate find the lowest rate for you. They'll beat any lender's rate or pay you $250. For the lowest mortgage rate guaranteed, call us at 866-934-RATE. Guaranteed Rate. Lowest rate guaranteed.
Robert Morris College is one of the largest private colleges in the state. We awarded more bachelor's degrees in business management than any other private college in Illinois. A school where everything is cooking, where students design a path towards their future and turn their dreams into reality. A college that will test one's inner strength and create a competitive attitude. It all leads to a collegiate experience that's like no other. Robert Morris College. Real college for the real world. Says tomorrow at 6:30 on FSN Chicago.
What's it gonna be? What is the greatest streak of all time? Before revealing our runner-up and crowning our champ, let's take a look at numbers 10 through 3.
I don't know if anybody will ever accomplish what Jerry Rice has accomplished.
You know, 100 yards was nothing for Barry Sanders. Sometimes he would have 100 yards after 3 carries.
You definitely have to just applaud the longevity, especially in a sport like track and field.
Brian Boucher, 5 straight shutouts.
Gagne with his 84th consecutive save.
You in 15 games for 15 years, you're a first ballot Hall of Famer.
59 consecutive scoreless innings.
Brett Favre is probably one of the toughest quarterbacks to play the game, period.
Hey, quick, what were you doing from May 30th, 1982 until September 20th, 1998? Oversleeping, watching TV, scratching yourself? That's disgusting. Well, while you were doing that, this guy was playing 2,632 consecutive baseball games. At number 2, it's Cal Ripken.
Came to the ballpark to play, and if the manager wanted me to play, I played.
People just thought that no one would ever surpass Lou Gehrig's record. Rip to left! Oh, my goodness!
Cal played in 2,632 consecutive games, breaking Lou Gehrig's long-standing record.
I think longevity now is even more impressive than longevity and constancy during Gehrig's era.
And you have to be really tough, and you have to be mentally tough.
Embodied what we like to think are the best things about the game that appeal to us. Of course, Cal was much better than a lunch pail, blue-collar player. He was a great player.
Cal Ripken gave you that because he was something anyone can do. You might not be able to hit home runs, but you can show up to work every day.
Checking into a hospital because I have a sore throat. The fact that he played so many games is one of the great feats of all time.
I really don't think anybody will touch it. And therefore, you will always remember Cal Ripken as the new Iron Man.
And they're on their feet here in Baltimore for Cal Ripken.
And in every one of those games, his eyes were dreamy. In his remarkable life, Joe DiMaggio won 10 World Series, married the sexiest woman in the world, and sold countless coffee machines. And to cap it all off, Joltin' Joe will live forever at number 1 on the sports list, most amazing individual streaks of all time.
Joe DiMaggio has made baseball history.
For 2 months in 1941, Joe DiMaggio transfixed the nation with his 56-game hitting streak.
I think hitting a baseball maybe is the hardest thing in sports. Getting a hit 56 straight games is astonishing.
He swings, there's a long drive going deep out to the left center field. It's going, it is gone.
56 games in a row is just off the charts.
His presence on the field was just an imperial approach to baseball. Nobody came closer than 44, and that's 12 away.
And Joe DiMaggio, the Yankee Clipper.
The great hitters that have played this game since Joe DiMaggio, nobody's really made a serious run at it. I think that speaks volumes in and of itself. Playing 56 games in a row is tough, let alone getting a hit every day.
When it ended, had he hit in 57 straight games, Heinz had a big ad campaign for Heinz 57 sauce. They say he was more disappointed about losing out on that endorsement than he was about the streak ending.
After Joe's streak ended, he started a new one, hitting in 16 straight games. The Hall of Famer hit safely in 72 of 73 games.
Hitting in 56 games, still not as impressive as sleeping with Marilyn Monroe once.